Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and it's time once again for the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. Joining me as always is my sidekick, Austin, and we are rounding up Batmay this month with one more Batman commentary. A couple weeks ago, we did Under the Red Hood, and now we're doing our one big theatrical Batman movie for the month. It's Batman Forever, and this will be the third. I guess that makes sense. This is the third in the franchise, Austin. This will be the third Batman Forever commentary that we have on the channel. So it's not like '89 where I've done over 20 commentaries now, but I have already done 2, so we're already pretty excessive with Batman Forever. This will be our third commentary, but we got to do one. We got to do a new one for every superhero movie ever made. So inevitably, at some point, Batman Forever was going to happen, and isn't it? Kind of surprising, Austin. Somebody pointed this out to me today that we have actually so far, and somewhat by accident, done the Batman movies in order.
Oh, yeah, no, I've thought about that here and there. Like, it's just weird that this is the one series where we've done that for.
And not
I don't know how that's worked out.
Intentionally, because Batman Returns, I think, was requested maybe, or won a poll or something on Patreon. I can't remember.
I want to say I put it on a poll.
Maybe you did.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, and then last time we flipped a coin for Batman Begins and Batman Forever because they both had anniversaries, and this ended up winning out. So fate. I guess it is the flip of the coin. I guess
you should have known right there and then.
Yeah, we should have. Two-Face's argument is winning out on this.
Do you remember? Do you remember which side it landed on?
It landed on heads.
Yeah, which is the one with the face on it. It's Two-Face.
There you go. Well, I mean, both sides would have a phase if it was an actual Two-Face coin, because one would just be skull.
Yeah,
but yes.
But it landed on the only one with a face.
I don't have a scarred replica Two-Face coin. I've always wanted one. Vince has one. Because I don't know if you know this, Vince has a Two-Face collection.
I didn't know that. Those must be pretty easy to get, though. I'd imagine they sell those pretty commonly.
Yeah, they're not hard to get. It's just you'd think in my ridiculous Batman collection down here I would have one of those.
Yeah, or a giant penny.
And that would be a cool. Yeah, and you know who's got the giant penny? Sorry, we're already regressing. I gotta send you pictures of this, Austin. But my buddy Pierce has built a Batcave in his house, and he's got a big dinosaur and a giant penny, and I can't even believe he managed to procure the giant penny. I've never been able to find one. I've always wanted to, and I was really jealous when I saw pictures of that. I was like, how did you get that?
He melted down all of the pennies in the world and created that. He is a true hero.
So anyway, thanks a lot for being here. If you're watching live, thanks for watching after the fact as well. As always, we will interact with you, live viewers, as much as humanly possible. If you still haven't gotten in a mini review, a tweet-length review, you can still do that, either by going to patreon.com/geekvolution and pledging at the $5 tier, or if you happen to already be a patron and you just haven't done that yet, you can go in and get a review in, and I will refresh the page at the end of the show, and we will read all of the new ones, so you've got the whole show to do it. Or you can leave a super chat at $5, and we'll read your tweet-length review that way as well. And if you can't get it all in a super chat, you can just, leave more comment after that. I'll make sure and read all of that. And you can also make sure that your opinion is heard, or any questions, comments you want us to respond to by leaving a super chat in any dollar amount, and that helps keep the train running here on Geekvolution. We really appreciate that. Don't feel like you have to do that. We really appreciate you just being here and hanging out with us as we watch, once again, another superhero movie. Show 43 on the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. Austin, any preamble you want to do with this before we slide right in?
Well, first of all, I guess it's a shame this wasn't 42, because then you would have both a 2 and a double of 2
That's
in the
true.
number. But
at least, in like 42 or 44, at least it would be a multiple of 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say, real quick before we start, I'm glad Batman Forever ended up winning out over Batman Begins, I guess, just because not only is it the 30th anniversary of this movie, but of course we just recently lost Val Kilmer, and that was one of the reasons that I was hoping to do this somewhat soon, and maybe we would have ended up doing it a little bit later in the year, but we've been a bit further out from that happening. So I'm kind of glad that ended up working out. And I will reveal what we're doing at the end of the show, but and some people will be able to guess it based on my saying this. But the movie that we're going to do next time, we didn't do a poll or anything for this one, is also going to be like this, where it's it was an anniversary last year, but also an important person in superhero media that passed away recently, and we picked another thing because of that.
When I was putting it on a poll anyways, we were going to do a poll, and I had it on there, and then I went, you know what, why don't we just do it?
So some of you guys will guess that, but we'll reveal it right at the end of the show. Austin, are you ready to do it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, everybody,
Yes, I am.
everybody get Batman Forever rigged up to timestamp 0 if you have it on DVD, Blu-ray, however you're going to watch it. If you want to watch it on Max, or the once referred to as HBO Max, now HBO Max again. Is everyone keeping up with this? Make sure that you get past the HBO logo, and so it won't be timestamp 0, it'll be like 0.5 or so, and I'll have a clock running so that you can sync up with us if you need to do that. I've got this movie on Austin, both DVD and Blu-ray. I don't collect these like I do 89, but I have this collection, the Batman Anthology, twice. I have this on both DVD and Blu-ray because Connor, once when he was here, brought me the Blu-ray set. He gave me the update for this because I think he got them on 4K. So I've got the set twice, and I think it has all the same features and everything in both places. And it's just it's like I don't know. It's like the box is like a third of the size of the DVD box. So you have this twice also.
Yes. So I had the well, probably not like the exact same one for DVD, but I had like the 4-movie DVD disc, and I just brought that up to my mom's cottage, and I got the Blu-ray set, and it's the exact same that you have for Blu-ray.
Oh, there you go. So if you just really need to watch a Batman movie from the 90s, you've got it in 2 different places.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly.
great.
And I know they've updated Superman to like a 4K set. I don't know if they've done that for Batman yet. But I might pick up the Superman one.
I don't know if they have either, but I assume they did because Connor brought me this a few years ago. So I'm not sure what he bought, if this was outdated for him already.
Probably not, because I think the Superman one literally came out like last year, and maybe not even a full year ago.
Yeah, weird. Okay, so I have no idea. I'll have to ask him about that. But I digress. All right, here we go, folks. Everybody get ready to press play when I say now. We're just about to do it. Chat with us in the comments, and away we go. Everybody, please press play right now. Na na na. Oh.
For some reason, I was looking at that logo and I'm like, okay, now Bugs is gonna come out and bite a carrot. No, that's right. It's not that kind.
No, we gotta we gotta catch up here. We gotta get used to what kind of Batman movie we're watching here, Austin. I kind of
We
following
do get
suit.
Looney Tunes later on in the movie, though.
Oh, that's true. Following suit a little bit with Batman Returns and having the Warner Brothers logo kind of morph or change in some way.
Yeah, I always thought that was cool. I also like the Schumacher theme. Not as much as the Elfman one in Burden, but I like this theme well enough.
Yeah, and it's right for the bombastic nature of this material.
Yeah,
I have to say,
absolutely.
I'm conflicted more and more on just the overall approach of how this movie is handled in post because I it goes without saying this movie is kind of a theme park ride before it's anything, and then you go and you look at the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, and you read about the Schumacher cut, which who knows if we'll ever get that, if that'll get released. We can talk about some of the differences later, because we know what's in that. But Austin, you look at those deleted scenes, and every single one of those, for the most part, feels like it's from a different movie to me. I like
That's the thing I'm like curious about with the Schumacher cut is because some of that stuff is a little bit more serious, and I'm like, is it just more of a tonal mess? Like, I don't know what that looks like.
yeah, and there's a lot of stuff in this that, of course, no matter how you spin it, it's gonna be hokey and like intentionally so. Schumacher makes a big deal out of I'm trying to make a big screen comic book. I'm trying to make a big screen comic book, and my response to that is, I mean, that's cool, but there's like a lot of different kinds of comic books. But okay, like he's real generic about the idea of comic book, right? But the thing is, when you watch those deleted scenes and you've got the stuff with a little bit more pathos and and character dimension with Bruce Wayne and his identity conflict and all of that. Like some of it is the actual material, and that's where a lot of the real acting is, and then it's just missing from the movie. Like all of Goff's best stuff is out of it. It's really unfortunate, but some of it too, Austin, is just getting the sound design out of it. And there are definitely moments and scenes that I imagine with I don't mean to knock this score, because it's right for ultimately the project they decided to release, but I do think that you could spin the design of this in such a way where, especially if you add those scenes back in, where you're right, there is the question of how much of a tonal mess it would be, but overall, I do think you could present it a little bit more serious than what we've got. I You're always going to have that overstated stuff with it, but
Yeah, you can definitely underplay it. There's just certain things you're stuck with, though. Like,
but there's also stuff that is added in post that didn't need to be, and not just soundtrack, but also
absolutely,
like dubbing and stuff.
ADR.
There's a lot of ADR to make it seem even more cartoony than what they were making. I get this feeling that Schumacher thought he was making a slightly different movie from those deleted scenes than what we ended up with, because those don't match this really.
Yeah, for sure. One, this is one of the only scenes I like with Two-Face. With, like his performance. I think when he's more understated like that, he works better. It's just that after this, he won't be.
Yeah, there's like one or two places where he gets a little bit more stoic,
He like comes
and
down a little
it's
bit more.
gigantic whiplash, because you're like, well, that doesn't fit the rest of this, and I don't know, we're already jumping all over the place, but he's supposed to have schizophrenia or a split personality, and it's so superficial where he's constantly referring to himself as we, but you really only get the kind of like manic like dollar store joker kind of personality from him. And then like every now and again Tommy Lee Jones is trying to put a little bit of Harvey Dent in it, but only when the story calls for it. The rest of the time he's just Ah!
Hmm. Yeah, and that was something I didn't really remember, so it stood out to me a little bit more on this viewing, where I was like, oh, he's got a few moments where I feel like he's actually trying.
Yeah. Well, and don't get me wrong. Of course, I'll take a step back for a second and say,
Yeah.
I grew up with this movie. I always loved this movie. There are those things that have always frustrated me, and I don't think overall it holds up. Like I maybe expected it to when I was a kid. I don't think I realized how much of, like I said earlier, just a theme park ride it is. So I've got kind of the two minds with it, where it's not of course, a great story. It's not even really about the story. The story is kind of just there to give us an excuse to be here, like a video game. And Schumacher even basically says that in his commentary. There are places when we get out of the action stuff, and it's just like Bruce and Dick arguing in the Batcave, and you'll hear Schumacher in his commentary say, "This is here so there's story," and he doesn't elaborate any more than that. That's all he says.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all.
We just feel like we have to
I
have
can
some
tell.
story. But I mean, at least he's honest about what he's making. I like that he's not constantly trying to explain how deep the thing is. It's kind of the antithesis of the Joker commentary.
But here's the thing. I hate this movie. I like Schumacher a lot. Like, I like Schumacher a lot. So like, I don't think this works in any way. But I can at least give it to him. Like, yeah, he understands that he made trash.
He's making a corporate product. I mean, he's hired to make a thing that is a response to the lackluster reaction that a lot of people had with Batman Returns, and how that underperformed, at least for the studio. What they were expecting. That movie still did well, but it did like 150 grand or 150 million less than 89. And they were unhappy with that, and so they go to Schumacher and they say we need it lighter. And famously, I've talked about this before. What he really wanted to make was an adaptation of Year One, and if he had his druthers and been allowed to make a quote unquote Joel Schumacher movie, you would probably like this movie, and I would probably like it more now.
No, Schumacher could make a great Batman movie, and I even like his next Batman movie a lot more than this. But
which I'll never understand, but I guess we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Mm-hmm. What's this movie, but not annoying? They're basically the same movie.
No, they are. I think they're annoying in the same way as. Well, that's not even fair. I don't know. The way in which this movie is annoying is okay. Is more okay to me. And with Batman and Robin, it's almost like it's trying too hard in the camp direction. But we'll talk about that when we get there, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I already have this from the opening. None of what's happening makes sense. Two-Face he puts Batman in this vault and he's filling it with acid, and he's like, haha, now I have enough money to cause havoc across Gotham, and I can kill Batman. And it's like, but you filled that vault with acid? Like, none of this makes sense. This security guard is so obnoxious. I wish he died in this scene. Batman would totally be in the right if he just let him go. And this is one of those things that is all ADR. Like, this is not in the Schumacher cut.
Yeah, I read about that today, and that makes a lot of sense, where this guy just apparently has almost no lines.
Yeah. But, like, with what you're saying, I will give this movie, it opens in a way that tells you exactly what it is. Like, we are just in a toy commercial, opening with Batman saying, I'll get drive-through, immediately tells you what you're in for.
Just tells you what it is, yeah.
Yeah. What's
really...
I respect that it gives you that right from the get-go.
Yeah, it tells you if it's not going to be for you.
Yeah, exactly.
What's frustrating about it to me is the ways in which it's taking the material in the right direction in the ways that it's not at all, right? Because the first two movies being Tim Burton Fever Dreams are, as we've talked about a million times, all about like walling Batman off from the audience and not really getting in his head because he's supposed to be such an outcast, and Tim Burton identifies with that so much. And this tries to finally actually tell a story about Batman, and it's heavy-handed, and we don't explore it enough, and especially in this version, it cuts the meat that was even there out of the backstory and out of the actual honest-to-God character arc, with Bruce realizing what he is suppressed from his parents' death and why he feels guilty about it, why he became Batman in the first place. None of that, Austin, makes any sense in this version.
No, so that's the thing, because I've heard people always say, well, I like this one more because it's actually about Batman. It tries to be. It's so just kind of incoherent, and all of it's cut. I can at least say Burton had a take. Like, there isn't enough of that in this version for me to see that. I think it's really unfortunate because I like Val Kilmer a lot, and I think he could have been an amazing Batman. But he's really underserved by what we have here.
Well, and I think you can say
and you can read frustration into a lot of scenes with him where he's like,
well, because
this is what I'm stuck
the only
with.
dialogue, for the most part, that there, except for in scenes that were deleted, for the most part, that he's given and that really anybody's given, is one-liners. And you said toy commercial. It's that. It's Saturday morning cartoon. It's very 60s Batman throwback. And I don't think until recently I really appreciated just how much this movie is doing doing Adam West, like, just like Batman and Robin is. Batman and Robin is leaning a lot more into it, but, like, for instance, the way Harvey Dent is, or the way Two-Face is just bouncing around like a crazy, like I said, knockoff Joker, you could imagine the 60s show handling it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
We're told what he is on paper and what his motivation is, but what he's gonna actually visually give us is just wacky, crazy town. And yet there's more of like a manic, actual, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, menacing energy to, at least relative to that show, to some of those villains that I wish was here. Like, I wish Jim Carrey had more Gorshin in him. Like, I wish there was more of a demented thing going on.
No, like, I see Gorshin in the way he moves sometimes. Outside of that, he's just playing Jim Carrey.
Well, I think he's partly cast. I mean, besides just, that's going to bring in box office dollars because of how popular he is right now. I think he's cast partly because of the ways he already is a little bit like Gorshin. So he's not necessarily doing a lot on that on purpose, but I mostly just mean in the way he moves.
No, and I agree with that, but I think it's like here and there. Like, it's like there's a pinch of Gorshin in his performance. Outside of that, he's just Jim Carrey. And I think it's a big issue in this movie because he never once comes off as smart. Like, he's just like a mugging a-hole.
No, that is a giant problem. And like I said, let me back off one more time for a second, because people are probably going to be surprised by either surprised by how negative I'm being about this, or assuming that you are influencing me too much, and that
no, and I'm not trying to sway you. No, like, you can like this movie.
I know you're not. I just have two brains. This is the Superhero Rewind commentary project, and I gotta look at this on a story and narrative level, and we hit all aspects too. So I can talk about how entertaining this is, but as much as I still really enjoy watching this, and I still put it on in the background a lot, this is much more of a background viewing movie for me than a thing that I put on and, like, actually sit down and sink my teeth into and like really pay attention to. It's just an atmosphere and a vibe that takes me back to a place in time. And so, like, I still love Jim Carrey because I was in love with this guy, with this actor, when this came out, and I got like more Mask from it. But and I'll even go as far as to say, especially based on some later performances with him, Austin, he also could have been a great Riddler. Like I feel like there's not Chris O'Donnell is really the only weak link in the cast to me. And I don't even think he's bad. I just would have liked to have seen a younger Robin. Is really my whole thing.
Their take on Robin is just kind of weird. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like with this and Batman and Robin, you and I probably agree a lot. It's just whether we enjoy that or not.
It's a flavor issue.
It comes down to.
There's not a lot that you're gonna say in critiquing it that I'm gonna disagree with. I'm just gonna be more like either, but I can enjoy it despite that, or this has been a part of me for so many years. That like, yes, I have the same thing with some stuff with 89, where like, yes, I see it, I get what you're talking about, but I'm also just like immune to it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all have movies like that.
So I gotta say this real quick.
Yes,
I'm a crazy person or dumb or something, because it wasn't until rewatching the Schumacher commentary that I realized that Jim Carrey's boss is Ed Begley Jr. I don't know if it's the mustache or what, but I never thought that's who that was. Like, I know that actor.
That's funny. No, and it's weird how influential Jim Carrey's Riddler is. Like, especially now. maybe not now. Maybe like a couple years ago. But like, that's like a whole mold. But this was originally supposed to be our introduction with Bruce Wayne, and I think if you know that, you can kind of tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would have been a cooler way to introduce him. You weren't supposed to get the Bruce in the Batsuit until 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, that like the bat signal is up. Two-Face is robbing that bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie was supposed to bookend with. Everything is just so over the top in this movie. Like, even the bat signal in the sky is too much, Austin. It doesn't even look like a reflection off clouds. It's like it's up there somehow. Like, it's you just put
you were talking over it. You were talking over it, but the start of that last scene where we go through the city, it looks so much like Coruscant in Attack of the Clones.
That's hilarious.
Like, this looks rough. I did not remember that.
Yeah, how do you feel about the? I mean, like I know you said you don't like this movie, but like how do you feel about the overall design of the city with this? Because I mean, obviously Schumacher's doing lots and lots of departure from Burton. He wants to. It's funny because he wants to make it his own thing, but I think he wants to make it his own thing as much as he can within the constraints of make it the corporate product that Warner's knows will make money, if that makes any sense. Because one thing I read today that he said that I had not read before that I really sorry, I'll let you answer that question, but that I really appreciated is he actually came out at some point. He just has a lot of humility with this. He came out at one point and said, what I made is not really a Joel Schumacher movie. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a Batman movie. It's what Warner's wanted at the time. And Batman and Robin is especially that way. But, like, there's some self-indulgent stuff. Like, I'm sure all the kind of fetish imagery comes from Schumacher. Like, for some reason, he thought that fit this material really well, and he wanted that in there. But, it's not really a Joel Schumacher movie.
Mm-hmm. This movie strikes like a really weird balance on its production design, where I think in places it looks really cheap, and then in other places it looks expensive. And I don't know, it's really weird just kind of how it lands on that.
Well, it's funny because in this commentary, Schumacher says, contrary to popular belief, we didn't have a lot of money to work with this. And yet it was ultimately $100 million budget. It didn't start that way. It got a little bloated somewhere. But like they started with like 80. I mean, it wasn't for that time cheap or anything.
Yeah, for sure.
But he talks about all the places where they had to cut corners. and
Mhm.
you can see that. But more of what I was asking you, Austin, is just like, do you like, or are you indifferent to what the city looks like versus Burton City?
Well, that's what I mean. Like that's just kind of part of it is that I think there's places where the city looks really cheap, and then other
Hmm.
places where it looks fine. It's definitely a big step down. I think on
But I guess I
paper,
just mean in not going
I
with the full
like.
on gothic kind of
Well,
Gotham, and
that's
in doing more of like the
yeah.
human figures and all that. Like, is that a good idea?
That's what I was gonna say is I think on paper, like I like that fine, um, but I don't know, like it's just okay in this one.
Now, to be fair, I will throw the historical perspective argument at you a little bit, Austin, and say the CG looked okay in '95. It's not holding up great. But like this
Mm-hmm.
comes out the
It's not just
same.
CG though. It's also just set design. Like it's
Oh,
just
okay,
kind of
okay,
everything.
sure.
The movie itself looks cheap in places.
And I don't even disagree with that. This comes out the same summer, of course, as the Power Rangers movie, and it has uh, kind of a lot of the same accolades and the same problems with me. It's funny, like they're both real cookie cutter story wise, and not really about a whole lot. Except a Power Rangers movie gets away with that better. The difference is this at least lets Batman be Batman a lot. In your Power Ranger movie, you don't get to be Power Rangers very much. But you put them next to each other, and you've got that horrible Megazord fight at the end. With just the worst CG, and like at the time that didn't look good, and this was relatively seamless for the time. Nobody was complaining
Mm-hmm.
about the CG or the special effects in this.
No, I mean, like I said, that city shot looked like the prequels to me, and that's almost a decade later for Attack
Yeah.
of the Clones.
The electricity energy stuff we should have been complaining about though. That didn't look great then. Like the blue electricity stuff in that opening scene, I was like, wow, that's rough. Okay, we've got a bunch of super chats. Let me go ahead and read those real quick, Austin.
Yes, go for it.
I and there's a bunch of stuff we've already talked over that we haven't gotten to yet. We haven't even brought up Chase Meridian yet, but we'll get to all that. Chewbacca's Lover $5 super chat. Have you guys heard the reason Two Face is supposedly so goofy? It's because he was afraid of being upstaged by Jim Carrey. Joel didn't want him to give this performance. Yeah, and I buy that. Two Face was supposed to be serious and scary. There was supposed to be a stark contrast between him and the Riddler, and that's evidenced by the way Schumacher shot the opening in Arkham that isn't in the movie. That's bookending it. Like the guy that writes in I don't know if it's in blood or not, but the guy that writes "Death to the Bat" on the wall in the opening is not this character.
Mm-hmm. No. Well, then it becomes weird because apparently a lot of his dialogue is ADR, so I don't know. It's all very weird.
Yeah, what even was the performance vocally he was giving exactly?
Because he's also giving like a very stupid physical performance, so it's hard to say. Like maybe it's they went, okay, this is what he gave us. Let's just lean into it, and they did some of that. I don't know. But yes, I've always heard that, and I mean, Carrie's talked about it. Like it's not like it's really a rumor.
Yeah, that infamous that infamous line where he says he doesn't condone his buffoonery.
He doesn't sanction
He
it.
doesn't sanction
The
it.
way
That's
he
what it
said,
is.
yeah,
He doesn't
that's a
sanction.
wonderful
Yeah, it's great.
quote.
He doesn't sanction his buffoonery, and so in not sanctioning it, he's going to give his own buffoonery so that he's not
Hmm.
upstaged. Like it kind of watches like he's jealous of Jim Carrey.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, and it's
he would have stood out more if he had just give a contrasting performance. He was always my biggest issue with this, even going all the way back, where I'm like, that
yeah,
uh, it's just an uninspired performance and
yeah.
uninspired vision for that character. It's so
Well, and
generic.
that's why I like Batman and Robin more, is because every Batman movie except Begins and The Batman live and die on their villains, and the those are two completely different performances that play off each other. This is just two stupid people screaming at each other,
Yeah.
and it's really obnoxious.
Well, and I'll probably get more into this thematic idea later on, but one thing that I found frustrating, going back to this and looking closer at it this time, is because, like I said, I put this movie on the background a lot. I
Mhm.
it just kind of lives behind me like like I'm playing it on a record player or something. Um, but looking at this again, I realized that obviously the duality theme plays with not just Batman and Bruce Wayne, but also in that, and like all four of our main characters have kind of a duality thing, even Chase Meridian, and uh with your villains, you've got one who's chasing after, and it's all, of course, a kind of generic revenge plot. You've got one villain that wants his vengeance on Bruce Wayne. You've got another villain that wants his vengeance on Batman, and you have the perfect opportunity for those two villains to converge while coming at the same guy separately and not realizing that they're going to arrive at the same point. Like it's a really good idea, and we
Yeah.
don't do that. Instead, at some point, they just have to generically team up to kill Batman, even though one of them is not interested in killing Batman. I I find that really frustrating. It's right
No,
there.
I was thinking about that because it's easy to lump this with Returns and like the two villain formula thing, but that does have the villains come together and then leave based on their motivations. Like you could have done that here.
Yeah, that's true. But what Schumacher says, and to his credit, I mean, Warner Brothers, or in his defense, I should say, Warner Brothers insisted on the two villain thing, and so they were stuck
Hmm.
with that. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Well, we don't want our two villains to be separated through most of the movie, because you'd have too many subplots that you have to keep up with." And he might as well come out and say, we think the audience is stupid and they can't follow it. I like he doesn't say that, but I feel like I can kind of read that in it a little bit. And not from his point of view, but from Warner Brothers. Um,
Hmm.
so what I would have done is had them doing their own thing instead of coming together and separating like in Returns. Really let them be separate through a lot of the movie. And
Hmm.
one of the things that massively gets compromised because Riddler ends up just going to Two-Face to team up and then generically have a crime wave is the whole motivation for his leaving Riddles with Bruce Wayne in the first place. It's almost like the movie by the end forgets that he was going after Bruce Wayne and that he didn't know Bruce Wayne and Batman were the same person until the third act.
Hmm.
Like it almost watches like that way because you get to the end and he doesn't even seem like all that surprised or taken aback that Bruce Wayne is Batman. I mean, he does his like, oh, kind of reaction. But what I mean is, it's like, oh, this guy that I hate because I idolized him and he shunned me, and now I want to get my revenge by being him better than him and taking his company down and all of that. Once he finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, he loses all of that, and it's just generically, I'm gonna go kill Batman, after we teach him something, and then it's just the generic. I keep saying generic, sadistic choice at the end. I think it's a lot more interesting if most of the movie he's trying to take down Bruce Wayne and not Batman,
Hmm.
and if the riddles maybe led to something earlier. Because at the end, it's just
Yeah.
his name and that's it. Like we don't do anything especially interesting with the riddles. And to your point, he doesn't really seem that intelligent. I've always been frustrated by
Yeah.
the thing with the box where he's sucking all this knowledge into him, but he doesn't do anything with it, and he doesn't seem any more intelligent by having all of that information.
Yeah, and the box thing to me has always just been like the VR thing with Riddler in the animated series, but to a worse degree where I'm like, really? That's what we're doing with the Riddler? Like, okay, I guess. Uh, yeah, and like the Riddle stuff doesn't even really matter. Like it's really just there so that Bruce Wayne can go, oh, Enigma is the Riddler at the end.
He's just not. He's not playing fourth dimensional chess with him, which is what you want the
Hmm.
Riddler to do.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
No, I
Well, and
like. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, well, and the scene where he and Two Face team up is basically just the same scene in Spider-Man 3. Like it's basically just
Yep.
let's work together and then we can kill the hero.
Yeah, I like the symbolic idea of the question mark in this with again the whole identity dilemma where you've got
Mm.
again Riddler going after Bruce Wayne, Two-Face going after Batman, Chase Meridian being in love with both and trying to reconcile that, and then in the middle of all of that you have Edward Nygma wearing a question mark, and then the question mark later being put on top of the bat symbol, suggesting like Batman himself, the universe, all of us don't know who this guy is. And not just we don't know that he's Bruce Wayne, it's we don't know he doesn't know himself. It's the existential crisis. And like again, all of that on paper is great.
Robotos brings up a good point, which is that the box thing is more of a Mad Hatter thing than it is a Riddler thing.
It kind of is, yeah. The other thing that's weird about the box is that it feels like in a different movie, Austin, it could have been almost like a satirical RoboCop move.
Well, I was gonna say that, like, or like the '89 script where it's much more about commercialism. I wonder if there's maybe a draft that is more about that.
Well, what's weird about it is one of the big complaints that a lot of contemporary reviewers had, of course. Give me a second.
Hmm.
Sorry, my throat's real scratchy. Oh, look, that's
Your
convenient.
throat flipped the coin and was like, now you're coughing.
That's convenient. It looks like Two-Face.
Yeah, well, this scene's so funny
Look,
because
we're
it's like, look
questioning
at
his
this
identity,
Porsche
and
test.
it's split down the middle like Two-Face.
Mhm. This scene should have just been longer. It should have been like, and here's this other like mystical thing that I show people, and it's just a question mark, and here's this other one, and it's just a robin.
Yeah, or he just goes through a lot of ink blot tests, and he's like, "I see a question mark. That you're seeing what you want to see. I see a robin. You're just seeing what."
It's not even painted. It's just like typed. Exactly.
I've always complained the two big things with this scene that it's ridiculous that he breaks down a door in a police station. I'll never get over that.
Yes.
I
That, and I do not buy the end of the scene that he's like, I want you out of those clothes. What?
yeah,
In a black dress so we can go to the circus. Hey,
and
like
she's
this
and
person's
she's
coming to
still
see you as
okay
a
with it.
therapist.
Yeah, like that would come off like sexual harassment regardless.
Well, that, and it's just like a conflict of interest for her as a therapist. But yeah, like
Oh, that's true too.
oh, that's weird. And he comes off so creepy. Like even the way he says it is weird.
Well, it goes without saying, and again, as like a silly fun theme park ride, I don't even mind this as much as I kind of did in Batman Returns, but like everybody in this is kind of dumb. Nobody really feels like a real person. You've got those flashes with Bruce here and there. Uh but
Mhm.
there's a lot of silly choices that everybody's making in this.
Yeah. One, it's just it's we needed to get to the circus so we could have the Robin origin.
Oh, you think
So
it looks too contrived and obligatory.
it's yeah, it's that line is so weird and so unbelievable, and it only exists so we can get to the scene. Like it's that's all it's there for, and it doesn't work as a line already. So it's
Yeah.
just way more convenient.
Okay, let me and then I'll get back to super chats here in a little bit, guys. But
Yeah.
we'll let's talk about the circus stuff in a second. But let me backtrack for just a minute to the
Yeah.
box thing and just say, I I don't know that the movie is. It doesn't watch like it. Is it all self aware about kind of implications of that idea in this kind of a movie where this is a giant kind of mindless blockbuster where the villain has a device that sends a TV signal into your brain and numbs you and dumbs you down and makes you kind of flaccid. And it's like, that's what the contemporary reviewers complained this movie was doing.
Mm-hmm. That is true. This movie is the box.
You know, and
yeah,
and again, that's harsh. That's not fair. I think there's a lot of action in stuff in this that is wildly entertaining. But if only I bought that it was kind of, again, satirical, like a RoboCop or something, where it knew it was doing that. Where
even satirical like 66, like you're also losing the cleverness of that show.
Yeah, where like it knows that it's, and I mean, I think it knows it's silly fun, and I don't think it's necessarily pretentious in what little like story and characterization is here. But I don't know that that is really an intentional satirical choice. You know, like it's social commentary, just by the nature of it being there, I guess. But
yeah, exactly, because it's not really saying anything more than just, oh, TV makes you dumb. That's kind of it. I always thought it was interesting that they gave Dick a brother in this.
It's a weird choice.
I guess, but at the same time, if you're going to have a Dick that's not a child, you maybe have like an element of, oh, Bruce isn't just replacing his parent, he's like replacing his brother at the same time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and
so it's like there's maybe something there, but
with the whole partner idea.
Yeah.
Because he's not really
I don't
a father
hate that
figure
on
in
paper.
this. He's
No, I think that's an interesting idea. I just don't know if they really pull that thread through.
The reason I think it's weird is because, and maybe it's just Schumacher being sort of diplomatic the way he's talking about it in his commentary and in interviews, but part of the point of this was to was to make it, of course, a lot more family friendly and to not scare kids. And there's a couple of odd choices like that where we're trying to lighten up the material, but in killing not just Dick's parents, but also his kid brother, it's like it's darker than the original material. It's weird.
But then, and you and I talked about this off camera, they also lose some impact by not having Dick there when they die.
That's a really strange. That's what I was going to say. That's the other strange choice is that Dick's, because, and we never come right out and say this, but we kind of make a big deal out of course, the obvious parallel and the main thing that makes Bruce kind of reconcile his identity crisis by the end in not wanting Dick Grayson to turn out the way he did, and he kind of turns himself around because of that. Is supposed to be the idea. We kind of make a big deal out of these two people are the same. They both saw their families murdered in front of them. Except they didn't. Bruce Wayne saw both of their families murdered in front of him. It's weird.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't like destroy the moment, but I do think it hampers it a little bit. That he's not actually there to see it happen.
Yeah. I think that choice is made to get right up front and say, look how heroic Dick is in the first place, and that he's meant. This is not a bad idea. He is meant for something
I think you can have both.
Than revenge. No, I think you can have both too. And the way, and I said this to you off camera, the way I would have done it is, I think this is one of the places where things are just bigger than they have to be. It doesn't have to be a bomb that's going to go blow up the city and he's got to stop it, or part of the city or whatever. He could just save some people in the tent on his way, either on his way to go to his parents or not even realizing his parents are in peril, right? And so he saves someone, but it's not them. And so we realize, so because I want Alfred's line when he says later, "You're a hero, I can tell," to still be true.
Yeah, well, even if you want to keep the bomb though, you could even maybe fix this in editing. I don't know, but
Oh,
you could
sure.
have something like he throws the bomb over, and it's a very triumphant moment. He turns around, and then Two-Face takes the shot, and then he sees that happen. Uh, Even that is just instantly better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Tyler Zayas, we talked over it earlier, but mentioned that John
Yeah,
Favreau shows up in a scene, and apparently he had actually had some dialogue in
yeah. It was at
in a
the
scene that's
Wayne
cut
Building.
at the Wayne Building. Yeah, but if you look close, he's actually still standing there in the background. His actual dialogue
Oh, I
scene
didn't
got cut,
notice
but
that.
he is in there. Yeah, and
Okay.
he's pointed out in the Schumacher commentary. He's so young and he's off to the side, you'd never know it was him.
Hmm. Fascinating.
Let me read the super chat real quick. Tobin Belpon's
Yeah.
$20 super chat. Really appreciate you, man. Sorry it took me this long to get
Yeah.
to
Thank
this.
you.
While I dislike all four of these, the first two at least have the benefit of being gorgeous productions, and number four has the benefit of being one of the worst things ever made. This one, frankly, has an identity crisis. And if you believe that, that's ironic because the movie is all about identity crisis.
This movie
I
really
added that
is from
last
Two
part.
Faces' perspective.
That wasn't part of the. I added. I tacked that on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What, Austin?
No, it's intentional. This movie is from Two Faces' perspective. It's got
Oh,
got two things on its mind at all times.
I one of the phrases that was bandied about a lot in contemporary reviews was style over substance, and I think I as much as I do enjoy some of the stylistic choices with this, a multitude of sins with Tim Burton's movies, for me especially '89, but I know a lot of people feel like this about Returns as well. A lot of sins are covered in the uh, the atmosphere and the artistry of the visuals. And
Yeah.
like I said, as much as I do like some of what this movie looks like, it doesn't cover it that way. There's like I don't even know if I could say style over substance. I cuz the style doesn't
Well,
suck me in the same way it does in '89. And so with that, I kind of needed a lot of years before I even realized that movie doesn't make sense because I'm just enraptured in the reality of it. And this feels like a
yeah.
product intentionally, but this feels like a product in a way that doesn't.
Hmm. Well, 89 and Returns are watching a goth loner kid playing with toys. This movie, I think, is like taking an ADHD kid, loading them up on sugar, and then throwing toys at them and saying, "Now play with them." And they're like incredibly sugar high, and that's just the feeling I get while watching it, and it becomes very overbearing.
Well, and it feels like the vehicles and the suits and everything are made to be toys in the first place, whereas with
Yes.
'89 and Returns, they're made to be in a like gothic, like somewhat neo noir, however you want to put it, kind of film, and then the toys are an afterthought.
Yeah, well, and the Batmobile, for example, because you're mentioning that stuff, the Batmobile in the Burton movies is like one of the coolest on-film cars of all time. That toy looks like it's just in the movie, but big.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like it looks like a Hot Wheel in the
It
movie.
does, and you don't have to agree with me. I still love this Batmobile design for this movie. It's like it,
I think it's one of the worst.
no, and that's fine. And I'm sure some of that is just nostalgia blindness. I don't know. But I like the big fin in the back. I've always kind of liked the sort of like, I don't know, skeletal structure thing with it, or not skeletal
The
structure,
lights,
but it looks. Say again.
and like the lights that
The
shine through
lights.
that.
Yeah, but like it looks like cartilage or something. It's like it's like the outside of a fish or something.
Hmm.
I just always thought that was kind of cool. But I mean, like, yeah, it's a toy in the first place. Like
Yeah,
absolutely. And then with Batman and Robin, they just straight up let the toy companies, like dictate what the toy, like design the toys in the first place. I am I will not defend the bat suit as hard, although I've never hated it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't really like most bat suits in the movies, so like it just kind of lumps in with that. Like I don't have enough of a strong opinion. I definitely like the main one in this over like the one at the end, the silver one, and it's better than the Batman and Robin suits.
It is really interesting that we get that little year one homage, where it's like
Hmm.
that's what he really wanted to make.
Hmm.
Like
No,
that's the
very
only
true.
place where I think he just straight up like recreates a famous cover or panel.
Yes, I know. I think so. I mean, it's not like this stuff did a lot of that, but you do just get that straight out of that book.
Well, it really stands out because these movies didn't do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. And it just looks really cool.
Tobin Belpons put in another $2 super chat and says, "I find it boring in how toothless it is," and that's a place where it feels like kind of an obligatory sequel. Uh, we've had this with a lot of franchises. It's just unusual for one to be as successful as this was, where
Hmm.
you, and we saw this with Ninja Turtles, right? Where your strategy is dumb it down, make it less violent, make it a lot more kid friendly, and hope that makes it more accessible to general audiences. And very often it just makes it feel more, I'm going to say the word again, generic, and kind of takes its teeth away. Tell me if you agree with this, Austin. And of course, there's no way this would have been the exact next thing that would have been made after 89, but just all things being equal, this is the sequel to 89. It does not make the kind of money it made. I think it had to be absolutely like place and time, and you had to have returns in between. Like the perspective is returns was too violent, and we're ready for something different. If this comes out right after 89, I don't think it does even half as well.
No, I mean it's the Thor movie thing, right? Where like the second one, people are like, "Oh, I don't know about that," and
Oh
then
my
they
god,
do a
don't say
really
that out loud.
drastic shift.
Don't say it out loud because then people are gonna go, see Cap, why can't you just enjoy Ragnarok for what it is, okay? You like
Exactly.
Batman
Why
Forever.
can't you?
Batman Forever is Batman's Ragnarok. How dare you not? Why did you have to say that out loud? I'm gonna be dealing with this for the next 3 months.
I'm glass half full, so I was thinking more so they're gonna be like, "See, why do you like this movie?"
Well, maybe I would have liked Ragnarok more if I'd been 11 when it came out. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Absolutely. Hmm.
But it's funny. I back in the day, and I don't mean to just keep defending nostalgia, but like back in the day, I think I tended to be still pretty critical of things and liked it in spite of it. Right? Like I walked out of this going, I like I don't like I don't like Two Face. He's bouncing around too much and acting too much like the Joker or the Riddler. I don't like the Chris O'Donnell choice. I think he's too much of a pretty boy, and I don't like that he's as old as he is, and all of that. I would have had a litany of complaints, and been, this movie's great.
Hmm. Uh, so just because we just got the Batmobile again, and we were talking about it earlier, I think part of it too, part of the cheapness is it's like it's driving by and the fin is flopping, like it looks like it's plastic.
That's just all part of the charm, Austin.
Fair enough. I mean, we all have that with stuff. I mean, we can all laugh at the weird things like that in Star Wars, you know.
Yeah, but with this, you could even say, well, Schumacher's intentionally playing with action figures, and so these things look like action figures. Like it's hard to decide how much of that is giving him too much credit because
Mhm. I
he
mean, that
like
is an intentional thing to some degree.
to some degree, yeah. He like to say, but then it's funny. What makes it frustrating is the places where there's an inkling of a much more sober, like actual character study, and then a lot of that, like we said earlier, is left on the cutting room floor. So like,
Yeah.
I'm more
Yeah.
critical of the movie now, knowing what they left out of it.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever watched this with headphones. The machine guns that those cars have sound like a Lego movie thing where it's just somebody going into a mic.
Because we're just playing with action figures. See, it's
It's just playing
consistent.
with action figures. That is kind of funny.
It's
I'm
absolutely
sure it's not
consistent.
intentional, but it does kind of sound like that.
Uh, Joel Schumacher, it's funny, would simultaneously talk about this movie like people just didn't get the joke. Like they just didn't understand what he was making. In the same way that a lot of people hated 60s Batman, not realizing that it was supposed to be funny. And
Mhm.
and yet he would simultaneously say that and also I don't know if this is working and I don't know if I'll ever get a job again after making this. He he was like constantly torn about whether this was the right direction to go with it. Which is why even if I hated this movie, I don't think I could be mad at him.
No, and I defended him really hard when he passed away, and everyone was like, his legacy will always be that he ruined Batman, and I will still stand by that. That's not fair.
That's not at all
I
fair.
like yeah, I like Joel Schumacher a lot. Again, I don't like this movie, but it was a time and a place thing too. Like, it's not just that like his choices made this bad. You know what I mean?
I don't like that the Riddler uh needs a like uh carnival game to give him the idea for his costume. Like our
Hmm.
our our whole explanation for the Riddler suit is just he has a mannequin wearing one and all these other
We
things wearing them.
But you see, Cap, he is stupid, so he goes, "Oh, that's a good idea." And then later on, he will be smarter through using the box, and he will make new Riddler designs based on his own brain.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Well, and a lot of that comes from Schumacher's costuming obsession because he starts as a costumer.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well,
That's
and
his
while we're saying
background.
that too, Rick Baker worked on Two Face, and I think, like,
Hmm.
for this kind of a movie, I think he looks really good. I also like the look of his base, where it is split down the middle in color.
And that's just a 60s Batman choice.
I was gonna say
Like this
that,
is
yeah.
oh, I'm
It
sorry.
is very much a
This is exactly what
66.
his lair would have looked like in the Harlan Ellison Two Face
We just
episode.
needed we just needed that.
And you know
Needed the Dutch
what?
angle.
It wouldn't have been too far. They should have shot at least part of this scene that way. Why not?
Yeah,
Why not? I even
exactly.
like the the opening of this scene where he's standing right in front of the wall and the line on the wall goes right down his face. I think that's kind of a fun
Mhm.
choice.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The only complaint I have about the makeup is there's too much of a hole around his eye. Like where you can see it's a mask. Like that's not
Okay.
seamless enough and takes me out a little bit.
Yeah, I guess I've never really looked close enough at it. I'll give it a look next time we get a good close up on him.
If you watch it on a big enough screen, that really jumps out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Something I learned today that I wasn't aware of, and this goes into the kind of weird fetish aesthetic with this movie, is so we have his hench girls who are Sugar and Spice, but originally they were supposed to be called Leather and Lace, and Warner's would not allow that.
That was the step too far.
Apparently, that was the step too far. Also, does the
Yeah, and
Riddler
I
need
like
the
the.
black
Oh,
around his eyes like Batman? I was wondering about that choice.
well, no. If he takes that mask off, it's not there.
Oh, okay, okay. Although I
His
will
mask's
say
also weirdly thin.
it is, yeah. There are some shots where you get some cool kind of shadow work in the eyes where you can't see his pupils, and that maybe works a little bit better with the black around it. Not in this scene, but later you get some of that.
Mhm. No, I mean, I think the black around the eyes is fine. No, and I like that. Two Face is the villain that has all the resources. Like, there are ways in which they are different, even though they're being played the same way.
Yeah.
I don't understand the Riddler's hair though in this movie and why it's constantly shifting.
Why does it keeps changing length, it keeps changing color.
That's what I mean.
He's got a very strange superpower.
And it's always confused me why his final form is just Gozer. And there's an element to the hair here.
That's true.
But at the end, he is straight up just Gozer, and it's really accentuated at that part where he's like, a god!
I kind of like the god idea. I don't understand what's happening there. I don't know why his voice does that. I have no idea what's going on.
No, and I hate how stupid his sadistic choice is. Why is it not just two different tubes? Like, it's only there so that he can save both of them. Like,
well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but something I had this viewing too was the if you think about Batman's kind of big culmination of his character arc line for any amount of time at all, it makes him seem like kind of a jerk because he's like, well, I had to save them both because you see, I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman, and I'm like, so if you hadn't come to that realization, would you have had to pick one and been okay with it? Like, I don't understand that. Even with an identity crisis, and even a Batman that is more okay with killing people, I feel like would try to save them both. I don't. Like,
yeah,
I get
I
get that on a like symbolic level, but it kind of breaks down in the reality of the thing. It's a weird thing to say. It's also a weird thing to say to a guy who's basically like lobotomized and has no idea what you're saying, because that line is just for the audience.
Well, and the line he's responding to isn't in the Schumacher cut, so I wonder if that line's in it, or if that is cut there.
There's a bunch of that, and even before you have those extra scenes, I think you can tell some of the places where the movie's just way too truncated, and we show up in the middle of scenes. I'll try to point it out. There's a scene in the Batcave like that once you see the deleted scene, it's really unfortunate that we're missing it. All of the, and again, there's even a bunch of stuff that wasn't put on the disc, but almost everything that's on the disc not only should have been left in, but is like integral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They cut all the story out.
Like I said, people always defend this movie to me as being, well, it's more about Bruce Wayne than the first two were, and I'm like, it's all cut though. Like, none of that actually works with what's here.
And I'm somewhere in the middle where even with what's left, it's still technically more about Bruce Wayne than it was before, just because even if it doesn't fully make sense, he at least kind of has an arc.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, his cut, his arc is mostly cut. Like,
yes, but
he kind of has an arc.
He has an opportunity for change, and he takes it at the end. It's just all of the connective tissue is missing.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know if I can say he has an arc because most of it's cut. Like, you have the start of one and the end of one, but there's nothing that makes it connective.
Well, again, it's all real surface, but he has an arc in that he chooses to stop being Batman, and then he works with Dick. He has a change of heart. He decides to start being Batman again at the end. Like, it is an arc. It's just, I don't know why he's doing anything he's doing.
Mm-hmm. But that's where I think it stops being an arc for me, where it's more, he just kind of shows up and does things, which is more in line with the first two. While there are fully deleted scenes that make me go, oh, okay, like, I fully understand your character. Like,
yeah.
There was a complete thing here.
Well, and
it's
also,
really unfortunate. Like, if all of that's back in, this is instantly a better movie.
Well, and I don't want anyone to mistake what I'm saying, because I don't mean that Batman has to have like a giant soul-searching change of heart in every story. Batman tends to be a character that refuses to change. But the difference is in 89 and Returns, he's not even really conflicted about anything. Like he's just being Batman and saving the day, and that's kind of about it. The only thing he's ever really conflicted about is whether or not he's going to tell his girlfriend that he's Batman.
Mm-hmm. Alfred did not take that away from him this time.
No, that's something we should talk about too. Is the few ways that this is kind of a soft remake of '89.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
The big things being, he has an "I'm Batman" moment, and doesn't actually come out and tell his girlfriend. She's kind of dumb for not immediately realizing it. The kiss thing is stupid. She doesn't need to do that. At the point where he's like, I made this vow and there was a bat. Like, she should immediately know what he's talking about. But, okay. But so you have that. You have him still with her at the end, like he is with Vicky Vale. In this particular case, there's really no reason she shouldn't still be there at the end, because or in the next movie, because you can kind of sort of see why Vicky would have a hard time continuing to date Bruce Wayne, knowing that that he's Batman. She's like, I don't understand all of this. I don't know what to do with it. This woman fell in love with him, with both Batman and Bruce Wayne, and is very excited that he's Batman. She would have no trouble continuing to date him, knowing that he's Batman. So I guess that's the point where they're kind of different. But she's also like Vicky Vale in that the reason she's there is in interest in the in Batman and his duality and all of that.
Mm. But with her not coming back, it does lead to my favorite thing, which is that Batman's love interest in Batman and Robin is Julia Madison, who has maybe 2 lines of dialogue.
Yeah, no, it's really funny.
It's like they went, yeah, that kind of sucked. Let's not do that.
He also drops the main villain from a high place who probably dies, but you don't know. I mean, I guess in '89, like he should be dead. You do see him. It's less clear in this, and then of course Batman and Robin will make it clear that he's not dead by just taking this as its own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you kind of see his body. I guess it's just his hand, but he's definitely dead at the end of this.
Well, in Batman and Robin, his costume is in Arkham, which suggests that he's not dead and he's in Arkham. Because I don't know why that costume would be there if
he just had multiple. He just had multiple suits that was there from when he broke out.
Oh, okay, maybe so.
No, I mean it's just there for a reference, but I think he's still dead even in that movie.
So obviously, I never want to say like a director says a thing and so that makes it canon, but I think Schumacher actually put the suit there to tell you that he's still alive, because he says in his commentary that he intended for it to be ambiguous, and that yeah, I know, and like he seems pretty clearly dead, but he really didn't want either villain to be dead in case they made more.
Mm-hmm. That's bizarre.
Again, some of that might be being diplomatic too. It might be that there were more mandates than he's letting on, and the studio insisted on all of the formula stuff. Like, one must be alive and one must be dead at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's very weird. I mean, like we kind of mentioned earlier, Schumacher was very willing to die on the sword, so it is absolutely possible that there are things that he took credit for that really aren't his fault.
I actually really like the Chase Meridian idea, and I wish that she just didn't also seem like she kind of has a weird psychosis herself. Like, she has as much of a mental problem as anybody else in this movie. She shows up and just immediately throws herself at Batman and is much more interested in like sexually flaunting herself, than she is in doing her job, and it's off-putting and it's weird, and it feels like a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like male wish fulfillment fantasy, which is funny because the man who's making the movie is homosexual. Like, it's really not a Joel Schumacher movie. He's making this for everybody else.
It's an excuse to get some more BDSM stuff in there.
That's
sure.
true. I guess he's still got all of that. But anyway, just the idea that Batman would date a psychologist who understands him in a way that he doesn't and can sort out the Batman from the Bruce Wayne and help him realize that he can still be Bruce Wayne and be Batman, and that he doesn't have to do this. He can choose to do this. I like that idea. Apparently, the Meridian name was chosen because she's supposed to be that midpoint, that mediator. She finds the Bruce Wayne and the Batman. It's a good name. I like everything about her on paper.
Mm-hmm. It's just that anytime she's on screen, her only emotion is horny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's another actor that I would say is right for the part that it sounds like it should be. Like,
yeah, well, Nicole Kidman's a great actress. Yeah. There's a part later on at the dance where she has to dance with Jim Carrey, and he's going like that with her arms, and I was like, I'm so embarrassed for you. Like, that's so awkward. And then I went, I mean, I guess this whole movie's kind of like that. Austin, it's not like he had a good role outside of that.
You know what I wish they would make an action figure of Dick Grayson out of costume like this from the scene that I could put in this Batmobile. I just want them to make this figure.
Yeah. You should put a the Thing toy in that Batmobile. He would fit perfectly. Now we got our classic neon gang.
Everybody makes fun of the neon, the black light thing. It's one of the things that kind of most dates it.
You know what, though? Like, as a kid, not so much in this one. It's more into Batman and Robin, where they're, like, way more aggressively neon. I thought they were kind of creepy as a kid. And this gang pops up in Creature Commandos, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool! Like, that's a cool Easter egg."
Oh, really?
I'm glad that they're there. Yeah, they're Dr. Phosphorus's henchmen in his flashback episode, and I was like, "Oh, that's like a neat kind of tie."
This seemed cool in the theater at the time, and the problem now is I've been to too many like late night blacklight bowling alleys and like indoor golf courses and
like in that aspect,
it feels like they should be playing laser tag.
That's part of that aspect of it just kind of looking cheap in places where it's like exactly it does look like they're just in a laser tag arena.
But I just think that's one of the things that dates it, because in '95 there wasn't I hadn't experienced as much of that yet, and I don't think it was as like widespread, and it was newer. And that's also the box idea where like everyone is so fascinated by the concept of virtual reality that it feels real, like a real contemporary idea. But like you said, it's frustrating because it's just a real surface way to say, look how smart Edward Nygma is, instead of giving him a really layered, complex, like mind-bending sort of plot where he can test the intellect of Batman.
Yeah, and you could have had it where he's manipulating everyone, like including Two-Face. Like they're all, pieces on his chessboard.
Yeah, that would have been great. Or at the very least, and I wouldn't have wanted this over what you're saying, but at the very least, if you gotta have the box plot, use it for more than just getting Batman's secret identity. Because, first of all, wouldn't it be more interesting if, this goes without saying, Edward Nygma actually figures out the identity of Batman? But also, we keep talking about how there's a lot of lack of setup and payoff in this. We keep talking about, like, Bruce doesn't want to fund his research because that could be used for mind control. He doesn't ever use it for that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really get any level of him like messing with people's brains. Like, not really.
No, and he's in.
We kind of mention like, oh, we make them dumber and I become smarter, but there's no consequences to that. Like, you don't see. It's not like the '89 thing where you start seeing people without makeup, and
Yeah.
it's like if you know, it's not coming right out and saying it. Like, you just if you get it, you get it. We don't even have that.
Well, when he's got a giant one, you'd think that he would just use it to turn the whole city into zombies or something.
Yeah, like that's his henchmen that they got to get through.
He could use it to corrupt the government, to corrupt the police force. Like, there's all kinds of things he could be doing with it. Or he could at least lobotomize a bunch of people so they're not standing in his way for whatever dastardly deeds he wants to do.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's
for
one of the
sure.
things that makes him not seem very smart, Austin, is he's got all this power, he's not wielding it.
Hmm. No, he became Gozer.
Well,
Batman just didn't
and if you're gonna do that,
choose the form of the distractor.
go all the way with it. If you want to do like literal knowledge is power and go like crazy supernatural with it, where he gets somehow godlike powers because of all these things, that would at least be something.
Hmm. Well, I guess he can like shoot mind waves to destroy the Batwing.
Yeah.
That's like kind of the only thing.
What exactly are we shooting up? That, and he can make his voice reverberate everywhere like he's a god. Like there are a couple of clues that were verging on the supernatural.
He turns the bat signal green even though he's not shining a light on it, and Batman can break the green off of the bat signal by flying through it.
Hey, look, this reporter works for Geeks Not Nerds.
Oh yeah, isn't that Bob Kane's wife?
Yes.
The reporter that yeah. And I think she's only in these two,
Yeah.
the Schumacher movies, and she gets a lot of dialogue. That's unfortunate.
No, I actually agree with you. That is a little unfortunate.
She is no Stanley.
Let me go ahead and read these other super chats.
Yeah.
Dan Schneider, $2 super chat. Hot take: Val Kilmer is the best Batman of the three. And I've always kind of said that, with kind of the asterisk of with what Austin was saying earlier. He doesn't get to do enough in this, but just superficially, the attitude that he has as Bruce Wayne, what he looks like in the Batsuit, I agree with that. Um,
Mhm.
when you go down to brass tacks of what the actual content is of the movies, Keaton ends up winning out. But
Yeah. No, I would agree with that, but I think Kilmer could have been one of the great Batmans. I actually think there's moments where I get flashes of Bale in his performance,
oh, that, yeah, sure.
and he's just not allowed to, go to places, so it's kind of hurt by that. But I do think that if he got to do more, he could have been a really great Batman. That, and if you put back the cutscenes, because a lot of great stuff with him is in those.
So why does Drew Barrymore have a vile thing on her just in case somebody decided to take one out and shut the machine down? And why would you make it so easy to shut the machine down? You could just hide that better or put it in a different place. Like, everything about this scene is really
It would be
contrived.
covered. Yes, it would be covered. This would not just be open to the public to see. Exactly. Apparently, you skipped the super chat to get to that one you just said.
Oh, okay. I'll
I just
scroll
wanted to
back
make
up
sure
then.
that so we didn't continue.
Yeah, Bob the Hunt, $10 super chat. Thanks, man. I think Jim Carrey is both funny and creepy in this, where he is sort of playing a mentally unhinged guy, like his role in The Cable Guy. It's a heightened Jim Carrey version, but it's a real take. And it might have been him or somebody else that suggested this recently, but the more I thought about it, especially going back to this week, I actually kind of wish it was more of a Cable Guy kind of performance. And at the very least, I wish we got more into the dual identity thing with him and how it parallels Batman, because the moment he puts on the Riddler suit, he feels like a completely different character.
Yeah, I just think like most of his dialogue you could put in like an Ace Ventura movie and you wouldn't know the difference.
Well, that's true
Like
too,
it's just
and
my
that's
issue with
also
it.
him making up a lot of stuff, I would imagine.
Yes, a lot of it is very clearly improv, and it's just I don't know. So I don't like Jim Carrey as an actor, and it's just more of that. Like I just don't think he's a good actor.
That's fair, and we just have to agree to disagree with that, I guess.
Mhm.
But I feel like
Even there's that scene at the beginning that I wanted to mention too. It's his introduction where he's talking to Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne walks away, and he's got that like, "Oh, you're supposed to understand," but he doesn't play it. Like he doesn't go, "Oh, this is my emotion. This is what I'm feeling." He just mugs at the camera and goes, "You were supposed to understand," and it's like you're not playing a character. Like this is not an SNL skit. You're in a movie. Do your job.
yeah, and I mean, I'm going to take up for him with that and say, uh, Schumacher is kind of wanting everybody to do that in this. Like
No, and that's fair.
maybe not so much
That's
with
just
Two Face, but like there's a lot of over the top caricature stuff that people were trying with this that Schumacher told them to keep doing and going bigger with. Like even all the way down to Ed Begley Jr. So I'll defend that a little bit. There's somebody in the comments earlier said the movie is kind of bipolar. Like I'm kind of agreeing with that.
hmm Yeah, it's just I've seen too many Jim Carrey movies, and I'm like, it's always this. With exceptions, there are times where he plays something different, but I do think it is more the exception.
And I'll also take up for him with that and say he was kind of hired to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is like right in that peak. Like you just had The Mask, you just had Ace Ventura. This is a star role. It's the same as like I don't think Jack Nicholson's playing the Joker. He's playing Jack Nicholson.
Well, and even I'll admit, I think Jack Nicholson is giving more of a performance than Jim Carrey is in this.
No, of course, and I think
And I
Jack
like
Nicholson also fits the Joker better. Like
and I
I'm
like
not
Jim
saying that
Carrey in
they're
this
on the same
fine
level.
just because I like Jim Carrey, but I don't like many of the choices that are made, story wise with the Riddler. Um,
hmm hmm Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think to
Everything's
some
superficial, Austin. What do you want from me? Everything I like
no,
about the thing is kind of
yeah,
superficial.
it's you're also allowed to like it. Like it's fine.
Well, it's more just I wish I could give a somewhat deeper analysis with this.
Yeah, no, for sure. Someone who wants a really deep analysis is Chase Meridian, though. That's her character motivation.
I Let me read another super chat. Chewbacca's Lover $5 super chat. Bruce slash Dick has a more older little brother relationship than a father son relationship. We usually associate with them even more so in the next film.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I think that's interesting for giving him a brother in his dead family.
If he's got to be older, that's a decent take, I guess.
Yeah, it's just the way to do it. I do wish he was younger. Like I do think it just kind of is awkward that he's older.
Well, and again,
But
this is something
other things fine.
you and I talked about off camera, but your big thing was always it's just odd that they're playing it like he's being adopted, and I think they're really ambiguous about when Gordon says taking him in, if Bruce is trying to adopt him or if it's just he's gonna stay here for a while. And I always thought that it was that.
No, and it definitely is supposed to be. It just kind of plays weird and muddled. Where like it feels like we just took the regular Robin story and just aged him up.
That sting
And so,
in the
Mhm.
in the score there was straight out of '66.
Oh,
or
really?
not the Sting, but that like Two-Face melody. They're like da na 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 na. That's Joker stuff in '66.
This is a moment I wish they kind of held on a little bit more when they dump the sand on him. I wish they like held a beat because it's like he gets buried and then Robin like immediately pulls him up. I wish we just kind of held on the sand for like a couple seconds. Like, oh man, Batman's dead.
It's just kind of rushed to get you to the 2 hour mark.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like I think that's a really effective moment. We just ended it too quickly. Like it that could have been really cool.
Yeah, well, and this is of course a good example of a movie that has a cookie cutter uh, narrative around big set pieces, and you know that it's kind of more about the set pieces than it really is, or at least the product that we end up with, uh, than the action actually uh, serving a character driven narrative, because there were a number of kind of big moments that Schumacher wanted and like found ways to get in there, which you can still do in a character driven thing, but like he it just gives you a good sense of the approach of it, right? Like again, I think there's a lot of really good character thematic ideas that you could make a very cohesive character study out of, and this movie's just not interested in that. So when Schumacher in his commentary says, I had to have a moment where Batman is walking through fire,"
Mhm.
and then he just found some place to put that moment. Uh,
It is funny that one of Batman's gadgets is apparently just literal plot armor. Where it's like Two-Face just straight up
okay,
kills him and then. Mhm.
so I'm sorry, I've got to talk about the scene because this
Yes.
is, in my mind, the most egregious place where there's major stuff missing and we're just dropped into a scene and it kind of doesn't make sense, and we end up with a partial film. So when Bruce says even Chase calls Batman a curse, but that is, we are missing 4 minutes in that scene. And when he says that, I'm like, what is he talking about? Like who has been talking about Batman as a curse? The rest of that scene is about how the city is turned against him and people think Batman is a curse.
He just kind of says it, and it's like, what?
You're like, yeah, what is he talking about? So the crux of his character arc is supposed to be in that scene, where apparently there's sort of, it sounds like this kind of little subplot where there's a bunch of criminals that are flooding into Gotham to try to get a piece of Batman, and there's a talking head on the news that says Batman needs to hang it up because everyone's unsafe, and then Batman says, should I consider retiring? And Alfred lays out like the cops have kind of got everything covered well enough, and you've met this girl you like now, and like he lays out all these reasons for him to retire, and so without all of that, we don't know why he has that line about like even Chase calls Batman a curse, and then also we don't have the setup for him giving up later, and that used to be in the movie. And so the way it watches now is like he it feels a lot more selfish, where it's like he's giving up because he met this girl that finally likes him for Bruce Wayne, and screw the fact that Two-Face and Riddler are out there. I'm gonna stop being Batman. That's how it watched to me before I knew that scene was there. And then Schumacher in his commentary spins it like the reason he gives up is so that Dick won't go get revenge on Two-Face. And like that's kind of in there, but he even like stops that conversation to say, I'm seeing Chase tonight. Like he's so focused on that. It just seems really selfish.
Suddenly he gained her personality trait, horniness.
All of this is just because the movie's cut up to hell.
Mhm. Exactly. Well, like I said, I think there is an arc in what this movie was supposed to be, but because most of it's cut, like it never feels like he's growing or changing. He just kind of does
He just does
things.
things. Yeah. And the only reason I'm saying it still sort of counts is because we have those big token moments where he goes, here's an opportunity I'm changing or I'm taking," and then at the end, like he declares he's going a different way now. Like I don't know why he's doing that, but there it
Mhm.
is. I can we get another take of that line there from Dick Grayson? No, okay.
What there's monsters out there.
Yeah,
You should have said
you
there's
you
ghouls
can't
and
just quit. I
goblins
mean,
out there.
I'm sorry. Say that
You should have said there's ghouls and goblins out there.
again. Dan Schneider, $2 super chat. Edward Furlong is Robin. That was an idea they had. Yeah, I mean there were lots of people up for that role.
Two-Face, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna blow him away. And he runs out. It'd be great.
Um, one of the deleted scenes also comes right out and says that Batman has been a murderer in the past, and I think that's important.
Mm.
I think you need
Yes.
that because that's also a big crux of what the arc is supposed to be. Is that it's not just he doesn't want to see Dick be all about. It's not. I don't want to see Dick be all about vengeance because I know what I could have been if I didn't go the right way as Batman. It's I've actually done this myself, and it's sort of alluded to. Like you can read it in this that when he says, "Well, it will go like this," and he lays out how vengeance will become his whole life. That he's talking about maybe killing the Joker, maybe killing somebody else, but it would be nice if the movie acknowledged for sure that he has done that.
Yeah, I
And
think
you
that
can't just take the previous
scene.
two movies because
Mhm.
it's such a soft reboot that I don't know
Well,
how much of
especially.
anything is supposed to count. And I don't know if those movies think he's a killer either.
Mhm. And he's gonna kill Two-Face at the end. I don't care what Schumacher said.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Schumacher
I
makes
think
a
that
makes a big deal
scene.
out of no. Batman doesn't kill anyone in this, and he when he throws up the coins, that's still Two Face. Just like making a mistake and falling, and I'm like, I mean, I don't know if he intended for him to die, but how could you be dumb enough to not think that's what would happen? Like, no, he's still responsible for that.
Let's get into the Zack Snyder Batman shot the gas tank and the explosion killed KG Beast.
I
No,
agree.
I think that scene in and of itself in a vacuum is fine. I don't know that it works in this movie. That and I don't really like the moment where Robin's like, "I'm coming with you, and I'm gonna kill Two Face," and Batman's like, "Okay,
Yeah,
let's
he's
go."
like, a man's got to go in his own way. It's like, well, that doesn't mean you should give him the opportunity to like. If
Mhm.
that's his plan, you shouldn't bring him with you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like that
No, I don't
moment.
like that either.
But like the actual moment where he's like, like I get it, like I've been down this road, the vengeance, and all this stuff. It's fine enough.
So yeah, you get the glimpse in the talk about the journal, and I think we're coming up on that now. And in this version, it doesn't mean anything, and I don't know why it's even left in
Mhm.
because if you don't have, it's so frustrating, Austin. If you don't have
Mhm.
the moment that's in the deleted scenes where we actually see the revelation of what's written in the book that Bruce insisted on going to a movie, and that's what he's repressed. I This whole thing about his repressing things about uh, his parents' death, which is what he's been talking about with Chase Meridian the whole movie. Like, there's no reason for it to even be here.
Mhm.
Like, there's no why is he talking about the Red Book in this cut?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a holdover. Like, it's just, you should have just cut it if you were gonna cut all that stuff.
He says the Red Book, he wrote in it every day of my life. At that moment, I knew. What are you talking about? At what moment? You saw your father's journal and then you freaked out and you ran out into the storm. I mean, you can see why contemporary critics complained that this was like too slapshot and too like MTV generation, right? Like, it is cut like a music video.
Mm-hmm. It's the box.
And again, I'm more hard on it now because of all the connective tissue I know it's missing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about a lot of the stuff that I find real entertaining in this movie because, again, it's very surface and this is a rewind comment. I don't know what to say except, like, explosions and action things in your action movie. Like, this is fun to look at. Like, there's not a lot to say about that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a roller coaster ride that I'm enjoying while I'm on it. And you can say like the few places where we actually stop and talk about anything made me feel like cutscenes in a video game. This viewing, I had this feeling that I was watching the short videos that set up a scenario when you get on a theme park ride.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. It's like when you're at Universal and they have the screens in the line that are setting up the lore.
I was getting some of that. I was getting some of that this time.
And now Alfred is dead.
Now that stunt double and possibly and then probably a mannequin is dead. Bob the Hun, $5 super chat. Some people say Batman is only guilty of manslaughter in these movies. He only indirectly gets people killed or lets them die. He never directly kills. And like, that's just an excuse to like show cool, edgy things happening on screen.
It's also just straight up not true.
Particularly
he does straight
in
up kill the
Returns.
Joker. No, he straight up kills the Joker. What did he think was going to happen?
Yeah.
I would say the same thing with Two-Face in this movie.
So lots of things I don't understand, Austin. I don't know how Riddler's cane works. I don't know how he points it at a door and the door opens.
Well, it's not even because he's smart now from the box.
Oh, okay. It's not even a mechanical. That's the thing, is you could just give him mind powers. Just say he has telekinesis now because of that, and like I like that better.
When earlier he heard himself punching a person, he just stabbed his cane into concrete. Now he's super strong.
But yeah, I don't understand how Robin or Dick Grayson goes back to the cave after Bruce has shut everything down and said that he's not going to be Batman anymore, and the intruder alert siren or sound doesn't go off there, but it did when he broke in the first time, and it is right now when Riddler comes in. I don't understand that.
Who knows? Slipmaker says this is where he sets up 40 Riddler trophies.
That's awesome.
We also have a bunch of super chats before that too.
I missed
just
them.
So we don't miss them.
Okay, I will get to those in a couple minutes. Austin, apologies for this, but I need you to hold the fort for just a minute, and I'll be right back.
Okay, sure. Even in how silly this movie is, the crotch grab with the stupid sound effect is way too far. But at least he blows up this terrible Batmobile. I was thinking today I'd have to go back and look at them, but I think the back of the Batwing in this kind of reminded me of the one that they have in the Flash, where the Flash is a different back on the Batwing than the '89 one does. And I wondered if they were maybe thinking about that. I'm not sure. Because at this point, we've just decided these are different continuities. And if you don't know here, where Bruce gets shot, he was supposed to have amnesia after this, where he would wake up with no memory, and you would have like an almost rebirth of Batman thing, where he goes back to the cave, and then that's when you get the big revelation with the book. And it's a real shame that that's not here, just because I feel like it's like, oh, Bruce gets taken out, and then that's the climax now. Go fight the bad guys again. But Cap's back.
Well, and you get like every major superhero movie trope imaginable in the third act of this movie. Like, if this was counting Crypto Freaks and we're counting stuff, like everything that you would count that happens in a superhero movie is, so you got the sadistic choice, you got the girlfriend getting kidnapped, you according to me and you killed one villain, you kept another one alive. Like, it's all in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we hit every bit.
So this is a thing I want to complain about. That I don't think, like, I haven't read anything that suggests there's footage on the cutting room floor that they would have that they shot for this. I think it's very strange that Bruce gets shot in the head, and we zoom in like that, and then we don't do any kind of like mindscape dream sequence anything. Were you talking about that?
I was talking about the amnesia thing and kind of describing that, but you're right, we also could have gotten like really into his head in that moment too.
And it's weird that like here's the jacket. I love it. It makes me so happy. And I say the jogging at night line all the time. Now I'm not gonna pretend.
And you say it wrong.
I'm not gonna pretend like. What's that?
You say it wrong too. When I rewatched this, I was like, wait, it keeps you safe. You always say warm, so that's always how I say it.
No, I don't.
I swear you always say warm. I could be wrong. Maybe you said it like once, and that's just what
I maybe said it wrong once. I mean, I usually say save.
Okay. But I was like, wait a minute, that's not the line I thought he says.
Well,
I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Anyway, so I'm not gonna pretend like this movie is as quotable as '89, because there's a lot of like throwaway one-liners that don't stick with me, and even some of the things I like to quote from this movie are admittedly throwaway one-liners. Jim Carrey's got a couple of things that I think are legitimately fun and clever and just weird that stick with me, and I've always liked that one a lot.
Well, I guess
I also
Returns
like
might be the one I quote most.
I also like That's Just What I Said. When Two-Face is just crying and he goes, "That's just what I said." I say that all the time.
I don't even remember when he said that. When does he say that?
That was a little earlier.
Oh, okay. So we always complain that these riddles are super easy. I like that the numbers aren't as obvious. So that's really something, I guess. Even though it's just kind of there because he's the Riddler. Like, it's not like we're doing anything with these riddles outside of just, now he needs to know that Enigma's behind everything.
Well, and again, I get that it's just kind of a cartoon, but part of the problem too is it's just obvious who the Riddler would have to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And even if you didn't know for sure that the guy in the question marks is the same guy as the person building the box, you should be after both of them, and maybe the guy making the box is more dangerous than whatever the Riddler's doing, because the Riddler seems to just be going around stealing stuff, and you know that Edward Nygma has like a a scary mind control weapon. Like, he knows what the big evil device does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think about it, the Riddler is not as scary as Edward Nygma if you're Batman, and you think they're two different people. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. No, not at all.
And so he finds out that it's Edward Nygma just in time to be able to go find his kidnapped girlfriend in the third act. Like, it's a real convenient timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I want to know what Riddler's endgame was in sending those to Bruce Wayne.
To mildly inconvenience him. I was probably leading up to something where he was going to try to kill Bruce Wayne, but then he found out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, so it didn't amount to anything because he was doing this to kill Batman.
That's what I'm saying. That kind of sad.
Yeah. Now we're going to get that weird part where he blasts through the green.
Georgia Ed says, well, you see, Captain Logan, we need Nygma to become smarter so he can make a glitter costume for the finale. So Warner Brothers can make another toy to sell.
Gozer the Riddlerian.
This is my favorite Gordon moment in all four of these movies. When he just yells, go, go! And then he shakes the coffee hand.
We also talked...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we talked over it too, but one of the weirdest extra lines too is when Batman comes down... It's the 89 shot, right? Where he comes through the sky.
And the guy goes, Batman!
Yeah, and the guy's like, Batman, ah!
Ah!
Really weird.
No, I laugh at that every time. That is one of Robert's favorite moments.
Oh, okay.
So Robert's in the comments right now. I've not been reading a lot of non-super chat comments because we've just had a lot to talk about. I'll try to go back through some of these here in a little bit, guys, when we finish the movie, maybe. But yeah, Robert kind of wanted to be on the show tonight, but I was worried that two of us that like this more than you, it would seem like we were ganging up on you.
No, I'd be like Optimus Prime in Transformers 2, and I'd be like, I'll take you all on, and then I'd rip Robert's face off and cut your arm off. I'd just be kicking ass and taking names.
So yeah, we're really just watching kids playing with action figures at this point.
Exactly.
People like to complain about, including me. I've talked about this before. We talked over it, but in the mansion with Two-Face just flipping the coin until he finally gets the result that he wants, which again is a thing I think you could maybe get away with in a 66 episode, depending on how exactly you played him. If the two thing was just a motif, where it's like, he's just so committed to the bit that he flips a coin until he gets the result that he wants, as opposed to it's a psychosis and he thinks that that's how justice works and he can't make up his own mind. This plays it both ways, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, because there's one at the beginning that people complain about, but it doesn't bother me as much. Where he flips the coin, it's safe, so he throws the guy in the vault. That one doesn't bother me as much because it's like if it landed on bad, he would have just shot him. If it landed on good, he used him as bait. Like that doesn't bother me as much.
Where it's like it's an interpretation he's making.
Yeah, like I'm more fine with that one. But where he just keeps flipping the coin, it's like, what is the point at this point? I don't know.
Roboto's 100, you really are quite brilliant, despite what people say. Alfred getting the cheap shot in. Well, and I kind of like that in this movie because Bruce is kind of an idiot.
Yeah. That's okay, everyone is.
You know, if you think about it, Michael Goff gets so much better material than most of the other actors in this movie, and arguably, maybe not all of them, but at least half of them, that he probably thinks he's making better movies than he's making.
It's in both this and the next one. It's really funny, especially because almost never on screen with the villains. He's probably like, "Oh, this is like a really great movie I'm in." Although maybe not when he's talking to Alicia Silverstone. I don't know.
Rudders also says this is just trashing Dent's character. Yeah, it's. I mean, we've been over this enough, I guess, but just everything with Two-Face is uninspired and unfortunate. Like you almost have to keep being reminded that he was ever Harvey Dent, that he was a district attorney, because he just wants revenge on Batman, and that's it.
Yeah, there's like one line right before he dies where he's like, "Oh, you're right, Bruce." Where it's like, "Oh yeah, you're Harvey Dent, a guy who was supposed to be friends with Bruce Wayne." We don't really do much with any of that though.
No, and it's also weird that his friendship doesn't come up with Bruce at all. Like this kid he just took in wants to go murder Two-Face, and he could be, not to condone the man's actions, but he could be bringing in the human side a little bit and be like, I mean, just so you know, he's just an insane person that's not really responsible for his actions now, and he used to be one of my best friends, and here's who he was. And he doesn't even get into how Two-Face blames him for what happened to his face, and getting into like the roundabout way that he's like a little bit responsible for what's happened.
Yeah, well, especially when you have an older Robin, you also could have done a thing like, "I don't think you should do this." Like, literally, the villain I'm fighting is a former friend that
Yeah,
got messed up through, all of the stuff.
there's another
That should also come up.
there's another deleted scene that admittedly is maybe a little bit redundant with the argument that they have in the Batcave, but I think actually does some of that better when Dick is at a club boxing. Have you seen that?
Probably at some point, but I don't remember it offhand.
That just, I don't know, solidifies that relationship and Bruce's position a lot better.
Oh, okay.
This is, again, all the
And now
story stuff that's
goes
left
his
in
hair.
feels very obligatory. I almost wish they left all of it out and it was just the ride stuff. Like, I don't know why anything is happening. And I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's just a cartoon. So it would have been really awkward if Riddler took the time to get all gussied up like this, and he has this amazing lair, and the trap that he set for Batman when he first comes in here actually worked and it killed him. That's a trope that always irritates me with villains like this, where it's like you just have that excuse to have yet another exciting action scene. But what if it worked though?
One is big.
He
thing
doesn't
at the end
want
here
it to
is-
work, or he can't have the speech.
The big thing he's doing here is you have Bruce Wayne and Batman on one side. You have to choose. Two-Face just happened to find Robin and kidnap him. What is their end goal if Batman gets here and Robin is not captured?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tyler's right. It's not a club. He's just in Wayne Manor. I forgot about that.
Oh, okay. And then the way Batman takes him out is also really lame, where he's just like, haha, I'm Batman, bats are blind, and he just smashes his machine.
Yeah, the riddle that he gives isn't even enough of a distraction, I don't feel like, for him to be able to pull out the Batarang. I feel like he could just pull it out. Like, what is anybody
Well,
going
what
to
would they
to
do?
stop him?
Yeah. He says the riddle because it's poetic irony.
I do love the set.
Yeah. The tubes they're in look like super cheap, but everything outside of that looks cool.
That's not that surprising, Two-Face. Every heterosexual male has that generic fantasy.
And non heterosexual men have that fantasy, just not with women.
Yeah, exactly.
Two-Face, didn't you also get people's intelligence through the box at one point?
Well, he didn't get very much, you know.
It only went into one of the sides.
Only the first one's free. So,
okay.
So, Austin, how do you wish that this Two-Face had been portrayed differently? Do you wish it was the two sides actually constantly arguing, or more of a fusion of them that just can't make a decision? Because I've gotten to a point, I've seen so many different versions of Two-Face that I kind of don't have a preference. I'm kind of like, I like both depending on the version and how it's handled, but I feel like this really wants to do the like two sides that are arguing with each other thing.
I think overall I prefer the split personality thing, but I'm fine with it going either way. I wish it picked a lane. Like, I feel like it kind of just exists between them. And like I don't know what their take fully is.
So you don't even think it's leaning toward one?
No, I think it's supposed to be the like split personality thing, because every now and then he'll talk like that, but
yeah,
it's not present enough.
Also, like, is the we pronoun a thing that we do that much with Two-Face? Like Venom?
I feel like I've seen that here and there. It just depends on the take. Like you said, there's a lot of different Two-Face takes. I'm just waiting for like the really good movie Two-Face.
I'm trying to find the other super chats, guys. Give me just a minute here. Oh yeah, there are a few we're missing. Oh, in fact, I may not be able to scroll up far enough to see all of them. I'll read the ones. I think
the Jar Jar Ed one though was the most recent one. Like, I think we'd done the ones before it.
Okay, let me go ahead and read that real quick. Jar Jar Ed, $5 super chat. While Batman saves both Robin and Chase, but only because he's just now decided that he's both Batman and Bruce Wayne. If he hadn't had that before, he would have chosen between them.
And because Riddler was stupid enough to have them fall into the same pit.
Well, that's like when the bad guy kidnaps two people and puts them both in the same cage, Austin.
Oh, okay.
Like
I do like this moment, though, where he smiles at Dick. There's that weird moment where he smiles after talking to Chase and it doesn't work, but I think it works here. It's just that we then awkwardly cut to when they confront Two-Face.
Well, here it feels like a more genuine smile. It's so contrived.
No, it's a nice little character moment between them.
In the previous scene, and I mean, again, I'm always of two minds. When I'm enjoying this as a cartoon, I like that moment because it's so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like
how did Two-Face even get here? we just cut to like a different scenario.
See, I'm bipolar myself talking about this movie. I'm gonna seem so horribly wishy-washy. I could do a whole other commentary with this where I'm just like pointing and laughing and talking about like all the things I love and how ridiculous it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's when you're done 89 for 89 and you have to do forever.
Forever? Every week until I'm dead. I'm watching Batman Forever. Yeah, and like, again, a good amount of it is nostalgia, but like, as much fun as I can still have with this movie, I don't think I could do that exercise with Des.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see myself watching this over and over again.
No, you'll look like the Riddler does here, like 3 weeks in.
Jar Jar Ed, $5 super chat. I was always weirded out by Michael Keaton's Batman murdering everyone, especially as a kid. So this felt like proper Batman to me as a kid.
Yeah, we're so close. Like, there's that part at the elevator where the guy's about to fall off and Batman catches him and throws him back. But then he kills Two-Face at the end of this movie. But we're still at a place where there's only 2 Batman movies where he doesn't kill anyone.
Well, and he could do what he does and still save him too.
Yeah,
right. Like
easily could have done
when
that.
he flips that coin, he could have just grappled him, and you're done.
Yeah.
And the other thing I don't like about that is it gives. I mean, tell me what you think about this. It gives Dick that moment to kind of like soak in his revenge anyway. Like he's not the one that did it, but like he gets the satisfaction of getting to watch him die, and I was always weirded out by that.
Well, I think it's both that and when Batman talks to Dick, he's like, look, if you kill him, you're just going to go after the next one and then the next one and then the next one. And then that's what Bruce does. He just kills Two-Face.
And again, it's that Batman Begins thing where it's a technicality and it lets the filmmaker just have that big dramatic moment. And when
if it's
when
a studio mandate,
how he's not
ways.
When the thing is about how he's not gonna do that, you don't get the technicality. I'm sorry.
If the studio if the studio mandate is just Two-Face has to die, you can find other ways. Like it's
yeah. You could easily come up with a way that he kills himself where Batman just can't get there in time. I mean, it's harder to get away with that when
or have the Riddler kill him.
Oh, sure.
Where it's like I don't need you anymore. Like I've done my thing.
The other thing I was going to say real quick about the box thing is you'd have to completely rewrite this movie, but if you actually showcased his being more and more intelligent as it goes along and he becomes like super genius level, and then by the end we destroy the box, or maybe this would be better, it just overwhelms him where the human mind cannot handle all of the information that he has, and then he loses it all and he can't defeat Batman now because he doesn't have all that intellect anymore. It would be like a Flowers for Algernon thing. And I would have liked that a lot better. What would you think of a take? I mean, obviously I wouldn't like this as well as just doing an off-the-page Edward Nygma, but what would you think of a Nygma that is maybe like brilliant enough mechanically to build something like that, but isn't like the detective that Batman is? Obviously, this Batman isn't really a detective, but just go with it. And wishes that he had that kind of intellect and is able to make a device that gives him that intellect, and then he loses.
He's almost like the leader.
That later, yeah, you could do something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously not what I want, but like you could have made it work.
Robert, $5 super chat.
It's at least a take based on what's here.
Yeah. Bruce telling Dick that killing Two-Face won't make his pain go away and that his parents were also killed by a maniac is a scene I really like.
Yeah, fair enough. I said I like elements of it.
Yeah, like
I just don't think it overall works.
The delivery's good. The problem is just that it feels so truncated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it just feels like these kind of obligatory moments of story and character development. We got to get this out of the way so that we can get back to the big action stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those, I guess, this happens in a few different Batman movies at this point where it's the action sequences and the talking scenes aren't looking at each other.
Yeah. It's that BVS problem. Not to the degree that movie
Not to the same degree, no. No. But like to some degree. There's just not enough discussion there. Like this movie's lacking conversation.
That's it. They're not allowed to, and again, you get a little bit more of it if we added that punching bag scene back in, which would have really helped. The other thing that scene does is it pays off the business about the motorcycle earlier. Like they actually come back to that.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Well, that'd be nice.
There are several places where you can tell that something is being set up that just is never paid off, and vice versa. Stuff that's paid off that you never set up in the first place.
It's all a curse. That is the curse of this movie.
Now,
It has
Robert,
setup and payoff, but not equating.
when this came out, that scene definitely left an impression on me at 12 years old. I think I don't appreciate some of that stuff as much now, admittedly, for the reasons that we discussed, but also because I am just a little. This is not this movie's fault, Austin. It doesn't help that it's so surface level, though.
Hmm.
I'm a little numbed these days to the everybody wants revenge and should the good guy kill or not thing in superhero movies and in stories in general, uh, because it's just become like the default story to tell, and I've had to sit through it
Hmm.
so many times at this point.
Yeah.
And again, that's not this movie's fault.
Hmm. No, I mean you can have it without talking about it. Like I do think that's a strength that the Batman has, where he clearly has that, and we're not, getting into large discussions about it. But it also works, in Daredevil. Like you can make it work either way.
Yeah, that's true.
This is this is still the weirdest song choice for a Batman movie.
Yeah,
It just always makes me laugh.
it doesn't have anything to do with
It just doesn't fit in any way.
anything in this movie really. I mean, you can say that about some of the Prince soundtrack with '89 too.
Absolutely. I think what it is just the Prince music is like weaved in and out. Like it is in the movie, while here it's just like, oh, that's just a weird choice.
Well, and Seal was as baffled as anybody. Uh,
Mhm.
like he didn't even
Yeah, I'm
want
not
to
even complaining. I just think it's kind of amusing.
he didn't even want to make the music video, but
Yeah.
he just agreed to it because he knew it would bolster album sales. But
Yeah.
famously, "Kiss from a Rose" was released as a single with his 1991 album and didn't go anywhere. And then it gets re-released with this movie and was huge and went number one and put him majorly on the map in a way he hadn't been before. So, I mean, he has Batman Forever to thank for a lot of the success of his career.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think part of it too is I never liked this song until there's an episode of Community that plays it, and I was like, oh, like I like how we use it here, and it's made me appreciate it more.
Oh, that's
So,
cool. Yeah, I love that song, and I'm a big Seal fan in general. Well, I say in general, there's like 3 albums that
that's a decent amount of
that I
music,
love.
though.
Well, 3 original albums, and then a couple of just killer cover albums. His soul records, I recommend those to anybody.
Hmm. Like that's a decent amount. Like there are bands where I'm like, oh, they're a good band, and really they have like one good album.
$5 super chat from Jar Jar Ed. So did Schumacher in the commentary basically say Two Face is alive from a certain point of view? I mean, not really. He was just like,
From a
I don't know.
certain
He
flip
might
of
have
the
survived
coin.
that.
He flipped a coin before they started writing Batman and sorry, writing Batman and Robin, and that was how they decided that he wasn't coming back. He was dead.
I'm seeing if I'm missing any other super chats real quick before we go to tweet length reviews. Uh, Austin, I feel like I was massively harsh on it this time, but I'm also going to say that I would have been the same way had you not been here. And I stand by that. I had the worst watch of this I've ever had this week.
Hmm.
When I went back to this and just looking at it from a like especially story perspective, I was really frustrated by all of the really good surface level ideas that aren't expounded on and aren't made cohesive together. Like I said, with all of the duality stuff, with your two villains that are chasing after different aspects of your hero, your love interest that's in love with both of them, your question mark motif that suggests we don't know who Batman really is. All of that's there on a surface level, but there's a great cohesive tight story to be told with all of those ideas that just isn't this. And I never want to say like I can enjoy your movie if I turn my brain off, but boy, I kind of feel like that with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Like I really hate saying that, but like if I could just strap in like, but on the other hand, Schumacher basically says that. He basically says like strap in and just enjoy it as a theme park ride. And then there's places where he'll go. He comes right out and calls certain scenes obligatory himself. I mean, it sounds like he's doing a rewind. Like he'll be like, yeah, this is here just to make sure that you're getting your money's worth. And he says the same thing he does with Batman and Robin, where he says, I'm just here to entertain you, which I respect, but there's just some really good ideas on a symbolic surface level, and you can and also you can do both.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever told you this, Cap, but every time I think of Joel Schumacher, the immediate first thing that comes to my head is him being like, yeah, I just wanted to entertain, and if you like Batman Forever and hated Batman and Robin, then I'm sorry.
Right.
And then immediately the that song you played after that clip on the rewind plays in my head. It's like forever associated.
That's hilarious. Well, you see, Austin, he didn't mean to be so cold.
Exactly. No, Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze is broken out.
I was always proud of that choice. See, it's a double. It's a double entendre because it's Mr. Freeze and it's cold, but like Joel Schumacher feels bad. Like he didn't mean to be so cold. That's why I did that.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Okay, let's go to tweet length reviews. And Austin, I've got, I think, 3 on Patreon.
Okay, and on Discord, I've got... I think I have 4. Yeah, 4.
Okay.
4 long ones.
You want to go back and forth then?
It's up to you. Whichever you prefer.
Okay, why don't you read your first one?
Okay, so from MattBat68, he says, an annoying, overproduced mess. Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones engage in an obnoxious competition to see who can mug at the camera the worst.
Oh, he doesn't sanction the buffoonery. He's not sanctioning the buffoonery.
He does not sanction this buffoonery. On top of all of that, it completely wasted Val Kilmer, who could have been a good Batman but isn't allowed to be, so lame. Rating Nemesis.
Wow. Nemesis. Yikes.
He does not sanction the buffoonery.
Chewbacca's lover. I gotta give it hero. I think Val Kilmer is probably the best Batman of the first 4. I'm tempted to give it superhero, but I'm afraid I might get mocked for that. Hey, you do you, buddy. I still think it's...
You are sanctioning the buffoonery.
He's sanctioning it. I still think it's the second best of the original Batman series. Jim Carrey is great as the Riddler, probably one of his most underrated performances. I think this movie is much better than Batman and Robin and unfairly gets lumped in with it. And even if you like the farce of Batman and Robin better and you can enjoy that more ironically, Austin, it bugs me the people that hate Batman Forever because they think it's Batman and Robin, and that still happens and it's irritating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, read your next one.
Should I read? Okay, so from Lord GB. I feel like with the passing of Val Kilmer and Joel a few years back, this movie will start to be reevaluated in the cultural zeitgeist, especially with DC's recent retcons establishing that Schumacherverse and the Burtonverse are 2 different universes. It will be easier to enjoy the film on its own terms. It is a lovely... I think this is like a typo, so I'm not sure what he meant, but it is a lovely yet to Silver Age Batman. I think he just means tribute, I guess.
Yeah, probably so.
Or take. A fun, action-packed blockbuster that embraces the bombast of a kid playing with toys, who, again, were this movie's prime demographic. Tommy Lee Jones isn't an adaptation of any of the more complex Two-Face sagas in the comics. He is an adaptation of how a child would characterize Two-Face in his action figure play sessions. This film is a lot of fun and does exactly what it needs to. Just don't try to compare it to the Burton films. Let it be its own thing. Rating hero.
I I'm surprised that that rating was as low as it was after that review.
Oh, you sure? Yeah.
Like I would have expected a superhero out of that.
Hmm.
Like it was defending it hard for just being what it's trying to be, uh, doing what it's setting out to do.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this will have a reevaluation because I feel like if that was ever going to happen, it would have been when Schumacher died, and it didn't at all. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
I can't tell what exactly is happening with it. I can't tell if people lately, like for the 30th anniversary, that have always loved it are coming out of the woodwork, or if it's getting in a reevaluation. But I think Batman Forever is one of the more polarizing superhero movies. Where, like I said in my description for this stream, that it is simultaneously beloved and vilified. Like it's both.
Yeah, well, I guess in a way it has been reevaluated, and that now both Schumacher films are just kind of lumped together for a lot of people. So I guess in that way it's kind of been reevaluated, but I don't know. What is your next one?
Sorry, I refreshed this in case any new ones came in. Daniel Davis, Joe Schumacher's Batman Forever is a movie with an identity crisis. On the one hand, it has vague aspirations that it wants to explore the psychology of Batman in a way that the Burton films before it never bothered to. And that's why, sorry, I'll pause for a second and say, that's why I more and more struggling with like just enjoy the goofy ride it's doing what it's setting out to do, because it does have, at least script wise, grander aspirations than that. And then it's like, are the writers just at odds with Joel Schumacher, or is there a part of him that really wishes that he could delve more into that, and he's kind of fighting the studio? And he's so diplomatic the way he talks about it; it's really difficult to tell. Like it almost feels like he's serving a couple of masters.
Yeah, definitely.
But I will finish this review. Um, he says, I'd love to see the Schumacher cut. On the other hand, though, it's a complete intentional 101. I'm not sure what this means. To those films in
A one,
tone.
two, one.
Oh, maybe 1-to-1 is what he means. Yeah, I don't know. A live action cartoon featuring Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones as Riddler and Two Face trying to outmug each other. I don't find it boring, and I have some nostalgia for it, but objectively, it's beyond shaky as a movie. Minor nemesis.
Oh, I did not expect it to go that low.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I also got distracted because there's a skunk in my window, so I had to close it. So I was like, "Oh, this is like a positive review."
I was going to
so
ask
then
you what was happening back there.
I'm like, "The hell!" Can smell a skunk, and it was just getting worse and worse. I'm like, "Okay,
Oh, that
I gotta close
sucks.
my window."
I thought maybe there was like green brain energy coming at your window.
It was trying to destroy me.
Okay, you read your next one.
Yes. So from Subject 879, so from John, probably my favorite of the '90s Batman movies. Val Kilmer is great, and I like Jim Carrey's Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones is the weakest part. He could have been a really good Two-Face, but he's too busy trying to outdo Jim Carrey, which drags the film down a bit. Rating hero.
Well, there seems to be a consensus there. And
It's either a nemesis or it's a hero.
I just mean a consensus in Tommy Lee Jones is the weak spot. Do you agree that, once again, like with some other things we talked about, he's good casting, he just didn't play it right?
Well, off of this viewing, I will give him. I like that opening scene with him, and I don't like a single scene with the Riddler, so that's at least something.
But just based on like other Tommy Lee Jones performances you've seen, like
Oh, absolutely.
could
I
you
think he
see
could
in
have
a
been a good
in a
Circus.
more serious Batman movie that casting? Because I can.
Yeah, no, I even think with that makeup, if he was not as goofy, it would have been fine.
Um, I would have liked potentially uh, a what am I trying to say? Kind of a twist on that character where he's more southern. Like maybe he moves to Gotham from a southern state. Because there are places where Tommy Lee Jones' accent breaks through a little bit, and I'm just kind of imagining that spin on it, where you have like a southern Harvey Dent. Maybe we get a flashback or two where you get to see him in the courtroom with that accent. I think that would be really cool.
He goes full striker.
Yeah.
Well, I know that courtroom scene was a full scene.
Yes.
Like that is a scene that's in the Schumacher cut, and we only get it in passing on the TV here.
Oh, something else I meant to say. We were talking some other conversation. We were talking over the Arkham scene at the end, but the doctor that kind of looks like Scarecrow at the end is named Dr. Burton.
Dr. Burden, yeah.
But he's played by Rene Auberjonois, who's Odo in Deep Space Nine and is a major character actor going all the way back to like the late 60s, early 70s. And I always thought it was really irritating that he gets this kind of like little walk-on role, being like how great of an actor he is. And to Schumacher's defense, the movie used to be bookended with, like we talked about earlier, with Arkham scenes, and he was in both of them. And there's this really neat shot right at the start where he's got kind of the scowl on his face, and he's walking down the hallway, and he's going to Two-Face's cell, and he still would have been underutilized, but at least he would have had something to do.
At least the next one gives you John Glover as the Floronic Man.
Yeah, and at least that's a grander cameo before it's just like a little walk on. Joe Turner, I have a soft spot for this film. It's the one I watched most as a kid. Jim Carrey is ridiculous but perfect for the kind of film he's in, and Kilmer is a totally fine Batman. It's a shame Tommy Lee sucks as Two-Face, because the movie is generally a fun ride, goofy and dumb but never boring. It's boiling acid. Hero. It's boiling acid.
So for the last one, this is Hot Soup, a man from my own heart. Apparently, he says.
No, does he hate Batman Forever?
He says, frankly, I think this movie's reputation needs to be swapped with Batman and Robin. Everything people say is wrong with that movie, I find wrong with this one. The line "It's boiling acid" sets the tone early for the kind of movie you're in for, and never fails to make my eyes roll to the back of my head. Rating Nemesis.
That's great. I also love how somehow your love or hate for this movie seems to come down to its boiling acid, because people that really enjoy this movie quote that endearingly, and people apparently like you that hate it go, God, this movie's so irritating, it's boiling acid.
Maybe there's a connection there, because people who love it constantly yell it, so they're like, "Meh."
Yeah, maybe so. Oh, that's true. Maybe you've just got like more of a bias built up, because you're like, not only does this movie irritate me, but the stuff that irritates me about it is what other people are liking about it.
Well, and they're like, hello, like, what's your name? And he's like, Hot Soup. And they're like, Hot Soup? That reminds me of boiling acid. And it's every single person he meets. So it's like, oh. Hot Soup and boiling acid are very different.
Apparently, and I either didn't know this or I'd forgotten about it, but apparently, early drafts of this included Scarecrow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Catwoman was supposed to come back from Returns, which would have been really odd with a different Batman. if it was Pfeiffer again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it like also just kind of fits in with the Michael Goff and Pat Hingle thing, but they're
Yeah,
smaller
but
roles.
if
So.
I was gonna say if she was involved enough, have been much harder to think of this as a separate continuity.
No, it'd be much more connected at that point.
Because I don't know that she'd come back
Sorry, I
and not
didn't
mention anything from the
realize that's
last
what you
one.
meant. Because I. Mhm. Sorry, yeah, I didn't realize that's what you meant. Because I don't know, I'm still stuck on that. Like these four are a continuity, so I
Oh,
almost
sure.
have to remind myself that we don't that we've separated them at this point.
Well, and especially in extra media now, like everything
Mm-hmm.
that's the comics and the books, like everything that's adding to 89 now is completely ignoring these. So, uh, the the next and last novel that John Jackson Miller is doing is going to be the 89 version of Riddler, just completely paving over this. Which makes me wonder
Mm-hmm.
if at some point DC will be crazy enough to do a Schumacher continuity in comics and like really separate it and do more Schumacher. I kind of doubt it,
It's
but
hard to say.
anything's
Yeah.
possible.
No, because it's hard to say because I feel like we haven't fully flipped around where like I don't know if anyone's asking for it, but at the same time, like if they were suddenly like if suddenly people like really turned on these and went like no they're really great, I could see DC doing that.
Yeah, and if they were just desperate for nostalgia grab stuff.
Exactly. They can have Schumacher Batman meet Ragnarok Thor. That'll be one of the new Marvel DC
That'll be the next big
crossovers.
DC Marvel crossover. That's how desperate we are. They're already desperate enough that they're finally walking across the aisle and doing things together.
Yeah,
I'm
it'll be like, do you
I'm
like
telling
my
you,
jacket? It keeps me warm while I'm jogging at night. Hey man, that's a great jacket.
I'm telling you, I don't think years down the road, movie crossovers between those two studios are off the table. I really don't.
No, probably not.
Back Studios put in a $1.99 super chat and just said, "Blind, stupid, simple, doodah, clueless, luck / hero." That's his review.
Uh, yes.
Well, I think it's funny that
Chewbacca's. Hmm?
I'm just gonna respond to that super chat real quick. I think
Yeah.
it's funny that Bag said that because that's sort of Schumacher's attitude, like
Mhm.
being bewildered and baffled by the success of this movie, where he does basically what the studio asks him to. Again, he's real conflicted about the cartoon nature of how he's approaching it.
Mhm.
While after the fact defending it as, well, you just don't get it, I'm making a comic book, he's also at the same time not sure if that's like what the audience wants and if that's what he should be doing
Yeah.
with it. And then it comes out and it's this massive success. I don't know if you know this, Austin, but the 3 day take that opening weekend had the record for a while.
Oh, okay.
It was
I think I maybe knew that.
crazy how big it was, and
Mhm.
he was obviously hoping it would do okay, but he wasn't expecting it to be a phenomenon again, which should be hard in a franchise like this. When you just had that 6 years earlier, didn't have it as much with your second one, and went with I mean, this is kind of unprecedented, right? And then went with a new Batman, a new director, a new look, a new soundtrack, and kind of took the teeth out of it. Like, it's
Mhm.
crazy that worked.
It is, yeah. Like I don't know that you could do that again. Like I don't know that you could do
Well, like you
this
said, Ragnarok
movie,
kind of had it, but Thor was not a phenomenon either.
but like, could you do this as the sequel to Dark Knight? Could you do this to the sequel of the Batman? I don't, probably not.
No, you almost, like I said earlier, I think you had to have a perfect storm. Like I think you had to have a
Mm,
second one that people felt like I like went too far in one direction, and then you whiplash it the other way.
mhm.
So again, it is
Yeah,
like Ragnarok if Thor had the massive like phenomenon success that '89 did, but
for the first one,
but
yeah.
it didn't.
Mhm. And then like that, people then went, "Oh, this is too much," with the sequel to Ragnarok, even though they're the same movie.
Yeah, well, and you probably see it similarly with Forever and Batman and Robin, where I because I was always in the camp that saw Batman Forever as quite a bit more of a serious movie than Batman and Robin, and I'm seeing the other side of that more now. The difference is like the casting of Clooney and the sexual innuendo stuff.
Oh,
Uh,
everything with the Bat family is awful in Batman and Robin. Like none of that stuff works.
yeah,
The scenes with Alfred work. Those are the only scenes that are like genuinely well made.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But what I'm saying
like
is
in terms of that element.
you're seeing this already as a like goofy cartoon that just doesn't really work, and a lot of people, especially at the time, uh, outside of critics saw it more like you did, a lot of them, but a lot of fans took the movie more or less seriously.
Yeah, well, and Batman and Robin works for me because, like I said, in this one you have the Riddler and Two-Face, who are both the exact same, and just hammer that in. And I feel like every single scene with them is just them screaming, and it's like really annoying. With Batman and Robin,
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing where it's just stupid. Like it's just the villains being ridiculous, but Arnold is Arnold is doing one thing and Uma Thurman is doing a completely other thing, and they like play off each other.
it kind of helps that they
So
don't
like
hate each other.
no, and like they have like an actual dynamic, and like when they're around each other, they they're not just like mugging at each other.
I do feel like the scenes with maybe part of the problem is just I know too much now, right? And it's hard to unsee what you've seen. So it's not fair. I mean, as I always say, you want to take the movie on its own terms as best you can. Knowing what I know, there's some seams where I feel like there are places with this movie where I can tell certain people aren't really getting along with each other. And Batman and Robin, as rushed of a project as that is, and as ill-conceived as I think it is, it's it also kind of feels like everybody was having a good time with it.
And nobody gets the Schumacher material more than Uma Thurman. Like she is like completely perfect in Batman and Robin. And then just the Bat family side sucks, but that's whatever. Although I kind of like how ditzy Alicia Silverstone plays Batgirl. Like that's kind of funny, but outside of that,
So many weird
most of
choices
their
too.
stuff sucks.
We'll talk about this down the line. Chewbacca Slover, I changed my rating to superhero. Thanks for letting us know.
Yes. And Dan Sten said that the Nemesis rating was a typo. He meant was it light villain?
Light villain, okay. It's like a F minus. You can't get a light nemesis. If you're angry enough to go nemesis, you just got a full on nemesis.
Mhm. Exactly.
Well, speaking of that, let's go ahead and do our ratings. I'm curious to see if Austin goes that far down. There's no way he goes above villain. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I don't think he's going to go above villain. Let's see what Austin says.
I'm gonna give this movie a hero.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
No, no. So I feel like in a lot of these videos, I'm very like kind of wishy-washy, where I'm between ratings. This one I'm very strong on. I am definitely giving this a nemesis.
Wow.
One of the things I also didn't mention is this movie feels so much longer than 2 hours. When I rewatched it today, like it felt like watching the Snyder Cut, where I'm like, you could have told me this was 4 hours, and I would believe you. It was just like
That's crazy, man.
endless.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Mhm. But it's because it's so grating. So like every second of it is so grating, where I'm like, and like none of it moves forward. Like I'm just stuck in it.
And you're not alone. Like that's a really interesting taste thing where there is a whole like swath of people that just have like gritted teeth looking at this. And again, a lot of contemporary critics had that too. So I'm not even going to say like, oh well, you weren't there when it came out, so you don't understand. Like a lot of people felt that way in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I just always assumed that people like critics liked this at the time, but
No, it was really
I mean,
polarizing. And there were definitely a lot of critics, like you can call them snooty or not, that were like, see, this is everything that's wrong with Hollywood right now. Like, this is the direction blockbusters are going, and it's a problem where it's like really thin to non-existent story, cookie cutter story that's just holding big, like set pieces together. That was what a lot of contemporary critics were saying. And it was very Sky is Falling, like like angry that it was doing as well as it was. It's like
Yeah.
this should not be rising to the top.
Yeah, and I think I only gave Returns a hero, like because I like 89 and Returns well enough. I don't love them, like they're fine. I think there's like a colossal drop off from Returns to this movie, like both just in terms of production and just like performances. Um, like again, I think Kilmer's fine, but like he's we cut all of his really good stuff. We don't really let him work. The villains are both awful. Chris O'Donnell's not very good. I like Michael Gough. He's probably the best performance in the movie.
And they cut all of his best
He's
stuff
always
out.
good, and they cut all of his best stuff too. Uh, he's always good though. No, I think from like beginning to the end, this movie's like completely atrocious and has very little redeeming value. And I hope to never see it again.
Wow. And see, it's so funny, because I am absolutely two-faced with this, where like I am at this point like totally seeing everything you're saying, and at one time I wouldn't have understood any of that. And again, that's not me just like being biased and influenced by my friend that I know doesn't like this movie. I had I hadn't just like sat down and really watched it in a long time, and
Oh, and
the scenes
I
were
can
really showing.
understand that.
But like I can go through. Besides just like, oh, it's grating and it irritates me, because I don't really have that. Like I guess I get why, I just don't have that. But all of the like content complaints, like I totally see it, and there's that part of me that just doesn't care. It's
Yeah.
weird. I'm so bipolar with it.
No, and I mean, I didn't mention my history with this either, but like,
Yeah.
this was the one I didn't get to watch as a kid because my mom was like, "That's the bad one. Like, we're not watching that." So I saw weirdly, I think I saw Batman and Robin in '89 the most. But I watched like those three pretty often. So when I finally did see Forever, when I was like 11 or so, it was like the forbidden fruit, where it was like, oh man, like this one's great because I'd never got to experience this.
Yeah.
And then just over time, it's like I don't really like this. Like everything that people like about this one, I get from Batman and Robin. So it's like I just kind of have that, and I don't need this. No, I will go as far as to say like I would much rather watch BVS than this. Like I think this is the worst Batman movie in live action.
Wow. Yeah, I don't understand that, but
But yeah, what what is your rating?
and I wonder if somehow I'll find Batman and Robin more watchable when we get to it. I don't think I will. Like, because I'm with you. I think I'm starting to appreciate the ways in which those movies are similar. I still think that's a colossal step down from Forever, but that's just how I
That's
feel
also
about
a
it.
more fun movie to watch with people. Like that's not a movie I will usually sit down and just watch on my own. Like that's more fun to just sit and laugh at with people.
Yeah. Which I don't know if I've ever really done. Like, I don't know if I've actually watched that movie with other people since it was out. Like,
Yeah, and I feel like that's just kind of the way to see it. Like that is how it goes. I've gotten to a point, I think I've mentioned this before. I think I said it when we watched Returns, where for years, uh, whenever I was sick, I would watch these four movies, and it's kind of I've kind of like associated that now, where it's like, oh, I'm sick, oh, I should watch the original four Batman movies, and I've kind of gotten to this place where the last two times I've been really sick like that, I watch to Returns and then go, I don't really need to keep going.
It's really funny to me that the Batman movie that you're calling the absolute worst you never want to have to watch again. I'm probably gonna get a tattoo of. I think that's I think that's pretty funny.
That is funny, yeah.
I've got like my I've got not one but two giant Jim Carrey Riddler posters back behind me where you guys can't see, and Austin's over here like
Oh yeah, I can see them.
I'm never gonna watch this again, and I'm sitting here like I just bought this, I love this car, and Austin's like F this movie, I'm never gonna watch it again. Um, I I'm not after this viewing going any higher than Hero. Uh, Obviously I wouldn't go any lower than that, but just on, uh, especially, and I mean it's Rewind, so we're talking mostly narrative. But yeah, at a narrative level, I can't, in good conscience, go any higher than that.
Then what? Sorry, I actually missed what you said for your rating.
Just Hero.
Oh, just Hero. No, I mean that's fair.
And so again, that's critically not like what your favorite things are, because it still goes much higher on my favorites list.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like dumb movies. I like Batman and Robin. I can't say anything about you liking Batman Forever. That was Chewbacca's lover in the chat at the beginning of this was like, "Oh, they're gonna make fun of me for giving this such a high rating." Like, I don't care. Like what you like. It's all good.
Well, I'm going to amend that to say if I also hated this movie, then Austin would absolutely be making fun of you after after we finished. But because I like this movie, okay, he won't do that.
No, I just wanted to start a theme of going, this person sanctions the buffoonery, this person does not. That's how you break it down for like whether how you feel on this movie.
Let's go ahead and go to the rankings. As always, this is subject to change. I currently have this at 22. And you'll be happy that I did this, Austin. I actually put this just under Mystery Men. Which is
Yay.
not a movie that sticks with me and I just like absolutely love, but it's undeniably a better story and a more cohesive one than this. So I've got it sandwiched between Mystery Men and Justice League Gods and Monsters, mostly because I can never remember what the hell happens in them.
Yeah, I remember watching it and being like, this was solid.
It's
and
fine.
I have no idea what happened in that movie.
But I can never remember what happens in it. So that's where I'm at. I'm sure you're going to have it quite a bit lower than that. Some people might be surprised that I have it as low as I do, but
Yeah, I could have seen it being higher.
I will also remind you, or for anybody that cares, that way back in the day when I did a scripted rewind on this, I never went back and did an updated rewind, but in the earliest days, I only gave it like 2.5, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, I still I had the seeds of some of what I'm talking about tonight. I think I still thought it was a better story then than I probably do now. But I still recognized. I mean, it it's missing stuff, and it goes without saying it could be a lot tighter. That's an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
It's an understatement, Austin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see where Austin's at. Austin has this. Is it going to be all the way at the end? Is it going to be like the? It's
no.
Not. Oh, okay. Well, at least you've got it over.
42.
At least you've got it over Tim Story's Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Well, I'm also questioning it now, where I'm looking at it and I'm like, I feel like Origins should be over Tim Story's Fantastic Four. I don't know. Maybe not. I had a really bad viewing when we did that for the show.
I kind of think putting Spawn over it is sort of crazy, but
you see, I don't feel strongly about it though. That's why I was looking at it
sure.
and I was like, I'm like, Ultimate Avengers 1 and 2 like are probably worse, but I don't feel as strongly. Like same with the Spawn movie. Joker I might move down because I do feel more strongly about that being bad, so that might get a lower placement. I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
That pisses me off not just the more I watch it, but the more I think about it at all. I have really
Yeah.
turned on that movie.
Well, I guess too with that, like I say, I feel strongly about that. Like it's not something I like think about. Like if it comes up, I'm like, yeah, I don't like that movie. It's not very good. But it's not like one that like I don't know is boiling
It's not
acid.
boiling acid. I Yeah, I've got almost like sorry, I've lost my train of thought. What was I thinking about? Um Oh yeah, I've got almost like a X-Men Apocalypse thing with that movie now.
Hell yeah.
Okay, Austin, would you like
I'm
to
not looking forward to do two though. I will say that
Oh,
like is internal dread. I do not want to have to watch that movie.
well, and then to like have to think about the first one again and the relationship between them, like,
When there's such like a close sequel that's like reacting to it, that when we do that, I'll probably feel the need to rewatch the first one.
that's what I'm
So
saying.
it's like,
I don't want to do it. Oh,
it stinks and I don't like it.
okay, Austin. Well, we finally got past Batman Forever. I knew that was going to be a little bit painful just because I was going to have to watch you give that a nemesis, and
But
as negative as I was, it was a little painful. I
I was gonna say, I hope it wasn't too painful. I tried to not be as hard.
I'm probably going to commit to the Batman Forever tattoo more now, though. Like, I was a little bit between that and a different one, but now that I watched you do that, that's probably. So, I've got a little space on my arm here above the G. So, I've got this Spawn tattoo that I got earlier this year. That's the only one I've gotten this year. And it's just above my Gold Ranger tattoo. And so I've got space here for one to go with the Spawn. And I'm gonna do the question mark with the bat there, I think. And I was between that and the Batman Forever or the Batman Begins symbol, and I think it's gonna be that because Austin's an asshole, and I think it's necessary to commemorate the assholishness of Austin by putting a I'm just kidding.
To counteract that, I'm just gonna have Nemesis written right here with no context.
You should do it in the Star Trek Nemesis font too.
It's like you're at like a job interview or something. It's like, oh, I see your arm says Nemesis. What's that about? Yeah, have you ever heard of the movie Batman Forever? That's how I feel about that.
That's how I feel about it. It's a nemesis. What does that even mean?
Just throw the resume out.
Austin, would you reveal to everyone what we're doing next week?
Yes, the next one we are doing is Ang Lee's Hulk, which a few people have asked me about, where they're like, "Oh, we hope you do that soon." So, for those people, you're going to be excited.
Yeah, we're doing that partly as a tribute to Peter David, who just passed away tragically this last week. And we wanted to do something for that. And Austin, like he alluded to earlier, had already put that on a list we were putting together for a poll. And he was like, what do you think if we just go ahead and do that? And I was like, yeah, we should. So, and also we almost did it last year because last year would have been an anniversary year for that movie. Because that's 2004. And so now that that's happened, it seemed like the right time to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And I have not seen that movie in probably since the Marvel Mania.
wow. Well, I definitely haven't seen it since then.
And I hadn't seen it in like 10 years when that happened. So it's going to be interesting to go back to that because I did not like that movie as a kid, but I feel like I respect it more now as an adult. So like rewatching it, I think I'll probably have that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if my opinion's changed very much on it. I've always had a lot of respect for it, but I think it's just a real flawed kind of mixed bag with an ending that doesn't work at all. That will probably still might be my review, but we'll see. I'm curious to see where I'm at with the comic panel thing, with like the picture in picture thing, because that was kind of innovative, if not a little wacky at the time, and I feel like we've tried that kind of thing a little bit more since then. So I just wonder what it watches like now.
Everyone's saying that was 2003, and I think we've been doing this long enough that we were supposed to do it for that anniversary in 2023.
Yeah, I think that's why I second guessed myself and said '04 just now, because I thought we were going to do it last year for an anniversary, but of course I know that's '03. So yeah, I guess time's moving too fast is what's happening. So yeah, we were supposed to do it 2 years ago now.
Which is weird. It does not feel like we've been doing this show for 2 years.
No, I don't understand that. I mean, I don't understand how you've been on the channel for as long as you have.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't feel that long either.
Because you've been with me almost 5 years now.
Yeah, which is weird.
That's really weird.
It's very bizarre. I don't know about that one, Chief.
You've been here long enough to see yourself become the nemesis.
Exactly. Right there.
Right there. All right, guys, we appreciate you being here. Let me do a quick plug for Patreon real quick. If you would like to get some fun perks and be involved with the show, $10 tier on Patreon makes you a Patreon producer, patreon.com/geekvolution. And one of the perks that you get is your name read at the end of every Rewind commentary. I'm going to do that here in just a moment. $5 tier lets you put in tweet-linked reviews like we read earlier tonight. You can also do those via Super Chat. And if you are a $10 producer, you get to hang out with me and often Austin as close to once a month as I can get to on a Discord call, and you get to help us choose movies for the show at least some of the time, and more. And we're also taking direct requested reviews still at the $30 tier. I'll put a plug in for that as well, because our backlog for request is finally a little bit less than it was, Austin. We're catching up a little bit. So throw us one of those if you're so inclined. We've got one of those I just realized that we need to go ahead and do pretty soon. So maybe right after Hulk or maybe the next one. But I'll go ahead and mention that. Somewhere in the not too distant future we'll be doing Darkman. As a requested commentary, so that's exciting.
Hell yeah, I'm excited to do that.
That'll be good. But anyway, so as always, thanks a bunch to everybody for being here. Thanks for the super chat support tonight. I hope I didn't miss any super chats. Let me know in the comments if there's one I didn't see. I think I caught them up. I think I got them all. And
yeah, if there's anything, we can always bring them up next show. But I think we got them.
And thanks to all of our patrons, but especially our you fine folks that are Patreon producers, including Jesse Surtees, Chewbacca's Lover, Dr. Hello, Elliot Slater, Goofster123, Joe Turner, Joe Jira, Super Billy, Vic Apocalypse, Victor, Abic Stark, Adam March, Checkers the Inventor, Damon Begay, Hot Soup, Invisipig, Kareem Roberts, Kate Blaze, Matt Bat68, Matthew Brody, and Michael Martin. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you. I'm just going to check the comments here real quick and make sure that we're not missing anything. Hulk Dogs. Yeah, look out for the Hulk Dogs.
Yep, it's going to be an abomination.
Man, I got to make sure I don't mess up a year again. People are just freaking out in the comments. It's like, it's 2003, you freaking mook. God, you said Austin's the asshole. You're the one that can't even remember when Hulk came out.
Now you have to have asshole tattooed right here. Cav, if you get another year wrong, I'm going to blow up a hospital.
Oh, man. That's still not as egregious of a sin as giving Batman Forever a nemesis, though. That's much worse. Oh man, the more he jokes about it, the more I'm just gonna assume that at some point he's gonna show up to the show with that actually done.
And it's gonna be in Comic Sans, just like the laziest tattoo you can imagine, like Times New Roman.
It cost the base price, man. I like Like whatever
Yeah.
that tattoo parlor charges for the base price, that's what I got.
And
60
just
bucks.
like to add insult to injury, it'll end with a comma, just for no reason.
Okay, we're gonna get going. Thanks a lot for being here, Austin. It was a good time. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. I agree.
We'll see you.
It was not fiery.
We'll see you next week for Ang Lee's Hulk. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this was Austin, the Day Ghost.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, folks.